Chapter 202. Li Jianyu got a great shock and exclaimed, "There's a child over there." The netizens in the live stream were also shocked. Is he going to commit suicide? This is so scary. Quick, think of something. Oh my god, how did this happen? I always thought that committing suicide was a distant concept. The security officer turned around and said in a tone that he was used to it, "Hey, that's just the students playing around. Hurry up and leave." Li Jianyu's temper flared up. He was usually a coward, but he had a bottom line. He hollered angrily, "Are you human? Playing around? Do you think this is a matter of life and death? Our school will take care of it. You people don't have to worry about it." The security officer threatened. I said, "No filming." He waved the electric baton in his hand and was about to hit the camera. The cameraman, old Zhang, was very experienced. Although he was carrying heavy equipment and was a little plump, he was very agile and nimble. He dodged the attack. The screens of the audience began to shake violently. I'm so immersed in this scene, I'm starting to get nervous. Director, you're right. How can you joke about a human life? Mingxi Boys High School? I think I've heard of this school before. It's very strict. The kind where the students can't bear the burden. At the side, Xiangyi had already called the police. She briefly explained the situation and asked the negotiator to come over immediately. The security officer was furious. Do you have nothing better to do? It's none of your business. It's just a human life. Xiangyi laughed in exasperation. She slowly stepped forward with a domineering aura. The security officer subconsciously wanted to hit her, but she easily grabbed the electric baton and snatched it away. It's just a human life? Don't you have any respect for life at all? The security officer immediately cowered and hurriedly retreated. Behind her, Rong Hui suddenly said, "It's probably because I'm used to it. Don't spout nonsense. Hurry up and enter the school, don't mix with these strange people." What should I do? I'm a rebellious person, but I don't want to do as you wish. Rong Hui licked the corner of his lips and said in a nasty and ruffian manner, "Sister, he looks so fierce. I'm scared." The young man tugged at the corner of Xiangyi's shirt and complained openly. The other boys also realized that Xiangyi was very reliable. They were like little chicks in the game Eagle Catch Chicks. One of them grabbed the clothes of the other and hid behind Xiangyi. It felt like a naughty child had found a backer. Shi Sui narrowed her eyes slightly. Xiang Li was also unhappy. The two men had the same thought in their hearts, little brats and whatnot are really annoying. The negotiators arrived as fast as they could. With the police leading the way, the security guards didn't dare to stop them this time. Xiangyi and the others also entered the school. The principal hurried out of the office and said in a dignified manner, This is a misunderstanding. It's like this, our school held an art exhibition some time ago, and this student was imitating performance art. He was used to brainwashing the parents of the students, thinking that the whole world would believe him. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention to him. Are you reporters? Which unit are you from? The principal broke out in cold sweat. Why don't you turn off this equipment first? You have to apply for an interview first. Rong Hui stuck half of his face out from behind Xiangyi and stared straight at the principal, seemingly provoking and relieved. It's not an interview, it's a live stream that millions of people can watch. Chapter 203. Boom, there was a thunderous roar and the principal froze on the spot as if he had been electrocuted. He immediately reacted and blocked the camera with his hand, exasperated. How can you live stream? Turn it off. Turn it off immediately. However, it was too late. The netizens in the live stream condemned. What kind of performance art is this? They're treating human lives like dirt. I feel like this school must be hiding some secrets. We must investigate. That Rong just said that it's nothing strange, but it's terrifying when you think about it. Does this kind of thing happen often? Under the efforts of the negotiators, the child on the rooftop was persuaded to come down. His face was pale and he looked extremely weak, but his mental state seemed to be normal. However, the moment he saw the principal, his body began to tremble uncontrollably. He was as helpless as a broken petal in the storm. It was fear that came from the depths of his soul. Boo-hoo. He subconsciously wanted to run towards the rooftop, but fortunately, he was stopped. Rong Hui watched this scene coldly, seemingly indifferent. However, his hands hanging by his side slowly clenched into fists. "Sister," he called out to Xiangyi in a teasing tone. "Are there many people watching your live stream? Are there 100,000 viewers?" Xiangyi said, "I don't know, there should be." She had never paid attention to the statistics of two under one roof, and had no idea at all. Wow, that's very influential. Rong Hui casually placed his elbow on Xiangyi's shoulder, but he knew his limits and did not put his entire body weight on it. However, this action seemed very roguish. Before Xiangyi could speak, two cold male voices sounded in unison. "Take your hand away. Don't you want your hand anymore?" The two men had a strong aura and their gazes were extremely oppressive. Rong Hui was a wolf cub who could easily deal with his peers, but he instinctively sensed danger when facing them. He retracted his hand resentfully and asked in a low voice, "Sister, you have two boyfriends? Do you mind if there's one more?" Xiangyi said, "Kid, you're asking for a beating." Rong Hui said, "Sister, can't I think about it?" Xiangyi raised her eyebrows slightly, and the coldness in her eyes made Rong Hui's heart palpitate. The little wolf cub's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed his saliva. "Sister, I'm good. I won't think about it anymore. Don't you think it's a little strange?" Li Jianyu scratched his head. "It's an indescribable feeling." Xiangli looked around and said slowly, "Sound." Li Jianyu's eyes lit up. That was right. It was a sound. Since it was homecoming day, there should be a lot of people in the school. However, other than Rong Hui and the other children, the campus was empty. Moreover, even though such a big thing had happened, there was not a single student in the corridor or by the window who came out to watch the show. Even the boys who went to steal the eggs with Rong Hui did not seem surprised at all. Their expressions were so numb that they seemed to have lost their souls. Rong Hui walked in front of the camera. His face was extremely photogenic, and when he smiled at the camera, he looked frivolous and dashing. "Because if you make a sound, you'll be locked in the little black room." The principal roared, "Shut up. Don't spout nonsense. There's something wrong with his brain. Don't believe what he says." Rong Hui tilted his head, and the scars on his face intertwined. His smile gradually faded, and he looked like a sickly teenager. "What should we do? I seem to like being a mental patient." Chapter 204. The pop-up comments flooded in like a wave. "Ah, his features determine my values. I love sick people the most. I love this brother. Am I the only one who thinks that Rong Rong is very tough? The principal obviously has a problem. I'm envious of his defiant character. I'm the kind of person who doesn't dare to argue with someone who cuts in line." Countless comments flooded the screen. At the same time, Biyao TV. Everyone could only watch as the number of viewers of Two Under One Roof continued to rise. 9.73 million. 9.85 million. 9,990,000. The numbers jumped again, the first digit became 1. The number of viewers of Two Under One Roof had officially exceeded 10 million. The record for the entire internet was born. Countless people pressed the screenshot button at this moment. There were also countless people who were paying attention to Mingxi Boys High School. The investigation began. Rong Hui brought the police to the so-called small dark room. It was indeed a dark room. "If you make a mistake, you'll be punished by standing here." Rong Hui put his hands in his pockets and said in a mischievous tone, "Of course, even if you don't make a mistake, you might still be arrested." Apart from the small dark room, there were also weighted sandbags, which were not used for training but for punishment. The teachers' offices were equipped with electric batons like the ones in the hands of the security guards. There were too many of them. There were too many to mention. Rong Huai's cynical mockery, coupled with the live stream footage, was simply shocking. Is this considered a school? Or a prison? F***ck, are they still human? They're running 5 kilometers at every turn and dousing people with water in the middle of winter. All personal items are confiscated when entering the school, and even their cell phones have to be handed over to the teachers. Even the text messages to their parents are edited by the teachers. Don't the students have any right to privacy at all? The principal tried to quibble. We're imitating foreign elite schools and implementing militarized management and gentlemanly education. The students who graduate from here are especially outstanding, Shui suddenly asked. What about those who haven't graduated? The principal choked. The answer was self-evident. Children who could endure such a hellish and cruel education were naturally favored by the heavens. What was unbearable was that after being ravaged like this for so many years, his physical and mental health would definitely be severely damaged. This shows that some students are mentally fragile. Children nowadays are too sensitive and pretentious. That's why they're addicted to playing mobile games. Our school is helping them get on the right track in life. Shut up. Li Jianyu roared. Can you be a human? How painful must it be for the children to be tortured by you every day? How sad would the child's parents be if they knew what you did? It was quiet all around. Li Jianyu seemed to have realized something and turned to look at Rong Huai and the other youths. Their faces finally showed some expression. However, it was not joy. The corners of his mouth were full of bitterness and helplessness. Li Jianyu felt his scalp go numb. He couldn't believe it, but he had no choice but to believe it. The parents were all aware of this. The comments in the live stream exploded to the extreme. If there's a need, there's a market. Think about it carefully. Oh my God, how desperate must these children be? She doesn't want to spend time with her child, but she's willing to pay someone to beat her child. So the parents are all aware? They clearly know that the school will punish them, but they still sent their child here? In the oppressive and gloomy atmosphere, the girl's sweet and gentle voice sounded slowly like the sound of nature. It's almost time for dinner. Children, are you hungry? There may be more updates coming one after another. Everyone can go to sleep first. Warm again. Red heart, I'm begging for votes. Chapter 205. Rong Huai and the others were stunned. This question caught them off guard. It seemed that no one in school or at home had cared about them so much for a long time. They were children who had been labeled as a disgrace. They were sent here for being rebellious, disobedient, and addicted to the internet, and were strictly managed. Apart from this cage, there was no place for them to hide and lick their wounds. They were most afraid of sudden concern because it was too confusing. Xiangyi blinked and changed her question. Where is the cafeteria? Swish swish swish, the sound of potato peels being peeled was transmitted to the live stream through the sound recording device, comforting and healing. The girl's fingers were slender and fair, but they were very nimble. A potato was peeled clean in her hands in just a few seconds. There was already a pile of peeled potatoes in the plastic basin next to her. Li Jianyu asked, Sister E, are you going to cook lunch for these children? Xiangyi answered calmly, there's nothing else I can do. Her hands didn't stop moving. After peeling the potatoes, she went on to cut the meat. These ingredients were sent over by the people from Little Rabbit Farm. In the kitchen of the cafeteria, there were only 2 pieces of frozen meat in the freezer. According to Rong Huai, they could only eat a few pieces of minced meat occasionally. There was a strange school rule that said eating too much meat would affect one's IQ, and students were advised to be vegetarian. However, the vegetables weren't very fresh either. The potatoes had sprouted, and the greens were yellow and withered. It was hard to imagine that these growing children usually ate such things. Yin Zhengxue and Xinguang rushed over when they heard that she was going to cook for the children. Washing, cutting, and frying vegetables. It was supposed to be a boring and tedious task, but because of the girl's calm and confident expression, it seemed incomparably beautiful. In the live stream, there was still a lot of controversy about Xiangyi. Are you kidding me? Why are you cooking at this time? Send the children home first. Is going home useful? Are they going to be sent to another aristocratic school, by their parents to continue their transformation? Actually, I'm a little touched. Maybe humans are complicated creatures. Xiangyi has a bad side, such as causing Dr. Xiang's hand to be injured. But she also has a good side, such as helping the kids from C7 and the boys' high school this time. Come on, it's just cooking, and you're trying to clear your name? Did you forget how disgusting that B***tch Xiang was in the video? I'm new here, I don't understand what you guys are arguing about. I just want to say that I'm F***king hungry from watching this lady cook with a shovel. In the school cafeteria, everyone had a big pot. The pot was big, and the shovel was also big. Basically, they used a shovel as a shovel. The shovel was heavy, and the ingredients were in a big pot. Even an adult would find it hard to control such a dish well. Some irresponsible chefs would be too lazy to cook. They would just add water and boil it before sprinkling some seasoning on it. At most, it could be considered cooked. It could be said that it was difficult to swallow. However, Xiangyi was seriously frying every dish in the pot. Her clean and milky white little face was covered in fine sweat. She didn't say a word and finished cooking 6 pots of dishes. At this time, the rice was ready. Let's get some food for the children first. I'll make seaweed and egg soup, Xiangyi said to Ronghuai, who had been watching for a long time. The corners of the thorny little wolf cub's mouth twitched. You want me to get food for them? Xiangyi didn't say anything and just stared straight at him. 1 second, 2 seconds, Ronghuai couldn't take it anymore. He looked away and whispered in a low voice. F***ck. Don't look at me like that, I get shy too. Chapter 206. Students from all over the school gathered in the cafeteria one after another. If it were any other school, it would be extremely noisy with hundreds of boys gathered together. But here, no one made a sound, and it was so quiet that even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. No one spoke, and no one had any expression. They were all numb, mechanical, and zombie-like. It was unimaginably oppressive. They didn't even dare to imagine what kind of means the culprit had used to make them so obedient. However, when the window was opened, the rich aroma of food filled the air. Following their bodily functions, they subconsciously chased after the source of the aroma. Plate after plate of piping hot food was pushed out. Vegetarian 3 delicacies, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, stewed beef with potatoes, grilled eggplant with sliced meat, vinegar cabbage, fried pork liver with cucumber. They were all very common cafeteria dishes, but they exuded a rare domineering aroma. The most intuitive feeling was that they were hungry. The demon-like cooks had disappeared and were replaced by Ronghuai and a few of his close friends. The young man knocked the bowl with his spoon uncomfortably and said arrogantly, "It's time to eat. Get your own plates and line up." No one dared to move, for fear that it was a dream. The group of children stared at the food eagerly, looking like they wanted to eat but didn't dare to. They were like stray puppies who only dared to hide in dark and dirty corners and didn't even dare to approach the trash can. In the live stream, I'm getting old and I can't watch this anymore. I'm in tears. Ah, hurry up and eat. Everyone has to eat 2 more bowls, okay? They've trained people to be more obedient than dogs. Their goal has been achieved. It's their victory, but it's the children's sorrow. Finally, someone was really craving for food and slowly took the first step to the window of the cafeteria. Ronghuai subconsciously tightened his grip on his spoon, feeling like the protagonist of a comic who had been given the important mission of saving the world. Which dish do you want to eat? His tone was fierce, but he was very generous with the rice. He scooped a large spoonful of each dish, for fear that the person who got the food wouldn't be full. After the first person, there was a second one. The line formed a long queue. The first child who got the food carefully stuffed it into his mouth, and his eyes instantly widened. Hot. Cooked. And very tasty, smell. He was stunned for more than 10 seconds before burying his head into the rice. As he ate, tears began to fall. More and more children joined in the food-eating camp. Everyone ate with great relish, as if this was some kind of precious delicacy in the world. At first, Li Jianyu was a little puzzled. He tasted the food. Although Sister Yi's cooking was good, there was not much room for her to show off. To be honest, the taste of these dishes was far worse than what she usually cooked. Xiang Li saw his doubts. He pushed his silver-rimmed glasses and said in a low voice, "The best seasoning in the world is hunger." In an instant, Li Jianyu suddenly understood why Xiang Yi wanted to cook for these children. Because he was really, really hungry. He turned his face away and blew his nose vigorously. *CK These scumbags. After scooping the last bowl of soup, Rong Huai was so tired that he almost couldn't lift his arms. However, when he saw Xiang Yi coming over, he immediately straightened his back and pretended to be cool and aloof. In the next second, a fragrant meat bun was stuffed into his mouth, accompanied by a quiet and gentle voice. "Let's go eat." Chapter 207. Rong Huai was stunned for a moment before he mumbled, "Do you think I'll eat it just because you asked me to?" He subconsciously chewed on it. Xiang Yi smirked and said, "Spit it out, then." Rong Huai turned around and said, "No." "Humph. Oh. It smells so good. It smells so good. It smells so good." Pretty Sister's culinary skills are amazing. Xiang Yi found a corner to sit down and rubbed her sore wrists. She was tired too, but she didn't want to express it. A tall figure suddenly appeared beside her. Xiang Yi turned around to see that it was Shui. He was on the phone with someone. "Okay, send me a digital copy of the contract when it's settled." After hanging up, the man took out a packet of portable ointment. It was a small piece that was about the size of 2 Band-Aids put together. "Does your hand hurt?" "It's all right." As soon as Xiang Yi finished speaking, the man gently pulled her hand into his palm. It was clean and warm to the touch. She curled her slender fingers uncomfortably and wanted to retract them, but Shui grabbed her wrist. "Don't move." Subconsciously, Xiang Yi stopped what she was doing. Rip, Shui tore off the ointment and carefully applied it to the girl's wrists. Xiang Yi moved her cherry lips and said, "Actually, it doesn't hurt that much." "You're still trying to be brave?" Shui's dark eyes landed on her face. He sighed helplessly and said, Xiang Yi thought that he would scold her, but she didn't get the chance to do so. Instead, he rubbed her head forcefully twice. "Why are you so nice?" he asked. So nice that it made his heart ache. Xiang Yi whispered, "You made my hair bun collapse." Shui couldn't help but laugh. "What should I do? I don't know how to tie my hair. Should I call your second brother for help?" "Don't. How would she dare to trouble her second brother for such a thing?" While they were talking, Xiang Li happened to pass by. Shui waved at him and explained the situation. Then, the knowledgeable medical doctor looked at his sister's bun that had collapsed and fell into a long silence. Xiang Li pondered for a while and suggested sincerely, "Have you ever thought of cutting your hair short?" Shui sneered, "You don't know how." Xiang Li sneered, "You know how to do it?" Of course they wouldn't. The two men, who didn't know how to tie their hair, childishly heard each other. Xiang Yi said, "I'll do it myself, don't worry, I'll find a tutorial to learn." Shui calmly took out her phone and searched for videos. Xiang Li raised his eyebrows. In terms of learning ability, would he lose to Shui? The two men were engrossed in the hair tying tutorial, unable to extricate themselves. A moment later. "Thank you, big sister, for cooking for us." A tall and thin boy looked at his toes and thanked her shyly. Xiang Yi recognized him. "It's you." It was the boy who went up to the rooftop. The boy said embarrassedly, "I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. The teachers were right, I'm a useless and cowardly piece of trash." "No." Xiang Yi's tone was firm. "You're not a piece of trash, you're not useless. You might not even know what your talent is. You might not even know what your hobbies are. You might become a super powerful person in the future or develop a strong interest in a certain field. You're still very young and there are endless possibilities. There are too many beautiful things in this world that you haven't had the time to experience. Life is long and the pain you're going through now is just a short period of time in your life. Life is irreversible. It's irreversible. So no matter how difficult it is, you have to live on and live on peacefully. You're an independent individual. You are yourself and the meaning of your existence. Chapter 208. The boy listened quietly, and his dark eyes lit up. His family would only say, "We're doing this for your own good. We've sacrificed so much for you, yet you're letting us down. Are you worthy of us?" He had apologized countless times and even hated himself for it. He hated himself for not being a smart child, for not having a lively personality, and for not having a good EQ. Coming to Mingxi Boys High School was the beginning of hell. His body, personality, dignity, privacy. Everything could be trampled underfoot. Trash, trash, coward, useless. These insulting words would be heard all the time. However, she said, "You're important, you have to live well, your existence is meaningful." The boy couldn't help but sob. Seemingly panicking over his loss of composure, he rubbed his eyes with his hands, trying to hold back his tears, not daring to make a single sound. However, for some reason, the more he wiped, the more his tears fell. A teenage boy crying like this should have been a ridiculous scene, but at this moment, it somehow seemed sad and pitiful. Xiangli was silent. In fact, he didn't quite understand human emotions. When it came to rationality and sensibility, rationality would always prevail. However, Xiangli knew that his sister couldn't stand such things. She might seem distant, but she had a soft heart. He silently handed his sister a clean handkerchief. Xiangli froze for a moment before taking it. There seemed to be an invisible tacit understanding between the siblings. Even without words, they understood each other's feelings. Her brother wanted her to comfort others. Xiangli got up and gently patted the boy on the back. She said gently, "It's okay, you can cry." The boy couldn't hold it in any longer and burst into tears. It was as if he had been venting his emotions for a long time. It was more like he was relieved of a heavy burden. He covered his face with the handkerchief and cried his heart out. The camera captured this scene from afar. Although the guests had turned off their microphones and couldn't hear clearly, their body movements had the function of conveying words. It was the most primitive and direct expression of emotions. "Damn it, something went into my eyes, sigh, it'll be fine if you just cry it out. You don't even dare to cry. It's so sad, how should I put it? The vase fairy may have a lot of bad points, but she also has a good side. When she's gentle, she can be quite piercing." Seeing that Xiangyu was coaxing the boy, Rong Huai, who was not far away, gnawed on his sixth bun. "It's amazing that you can cry. When he was in kindergarten, he cried very fiercely and would even roll on the ground." Suddenly, there was movement at the door. There were cries, shouts, and hurried footsteps. It was his parents who had rushed over after hearing the news. Some parents who didn't know what was going on hugged their children, and the whole family burst into tears. They had only heard that the management here was strict, so they had spent a lot of money to send their children here. After the children had been brainwashed, they did not dare to say anything at home, so they did not know that the children had suffered so much. There were also parents who anxiously asked the police at the scene, "Why did they close such a good school? Where are our children going if they're locked up? Did you misunderstand? The principal and the teachers are doing this for the good of the children. Do you know that there is severe corporal punishment in this school? But our children's grades have improved and they've become obedient. If you close the school, what if they become rebellious again?" Chapter 209. You can't just find fault with the child. Parents have the responsibility to educate him too. We're so busy, how can we have the time to teach him? Please, don't close the school. Upon hearing their conversation, Ronghuai's eyes were full of disgust and he was so angry that he ate another bun. What an annoying adult. However, he habitually looked around, only to find that his parents were nowhere to be seen. He paused in his chewing and returned to being a frivolous prick. It's all right. I don't need my parents that much anyway. The young man slowly ate one bun after another, as if he could fill the disappointment in his heart as long as he ate enough. A sharp-eyed parent saw Xiangyi and stepped forward to criticize her. Who told you to be a busybody? Do you think you're a judge who brought the production team here to uphold justice? Let me tell you, we don't need it at all. Now that the school is going to be closed, how are you going to compensate us for our losses? Xiangyi remained calm and waited for the other party to finish throwing a tantrum before saying leisurely, I forgot to tell you that this program is a live stream. Ah! She shrieked and cursed. Why didn't you say so earlier? The cameraman, old Zhang, deliberately moved the camera forward, scaring the other party so much that she quickly covered her face with her jacket. Old Zhang was speechless. You're so shameless, huh? I thought you weren't human. When it comes to sarcasm, you're still the boss. Shui answered the phone, and after hanging up, he slowly adjusted his cuffs and asked Xiangyi in a languid tone, Do you still lack a place to farm? Huh. I happen to have some spare cash, so I bought the land of this school. Shui glanced at the parents and said, Since the school is mine, why don't you plow it and plant vegetables there? Or raise pigs? The black pig meat from last time was quite fragrant. Xiangyi was speechless. Buy land, to plant vegetables? Raise pigs? She thought about it for 2 seconds and actually felt quite happy about it. Why don't we build a little rabbit farm here? Xiangli said gently, I'll contact the research institute and set up an experimental field for the newly cultivated Chinese medicine seeds here. With the endorsement of the research institute, this school could forget about opening. Xiangyi's eyes lit up. As expected of her brother. Amazing. The parent who was covering his face with his coat was dumbfounded. Buying land and collaborating with a research institute. Who on earth were these people? Those suspected of corporal punishment were all taken away for investigation. The students gathered at the school gate and watched as the school gate slowly closed. However, the expressions of many people were still incomparably ugly. They were worried that the gate would reopen one day. Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from afar. It was unknown who had shouted, F***CK. But in an instant, it became a series of exclamations. Construction trucks, demolition machines, excavators. Countless vehicles drove over and honked their horns. At the front of the excavator, Si Chuanbai, who was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, was expressionless. He looked like his heart was as still as water. Shui noticed him and smiled at him with her arms crossed. Si Chuanbai was speechless. He was a dignified manager. Not only was he ordered to buy land, but he also had to rent an excavator. It was too difficult. It was too difficult for him. Xinguang also drove over with his wife, Yin Jiangxue. The two of them were carrying a plaque that had just been written. The elegant and unrestrained semi-cursive handwriting was written, Little Rabbit Farm 2. Chapter 210. In the live stream, this is so exciting. F***CK, are they going to flatten the school? I've been holding it in for a long time, but I still can't help but cry. I just want to say that Sister E is awesome. Shui is awesome. 2 under 1 roof is awesome. There were no insults in the pop-up comments at this moment, only support. When the first excavator knocked down the school wall, a loud noise suddenly broke out in the dusty scene. Cheers, roars, and applause formed a rhythm that made one's blood boil. Rong Hui had one hand in his pocket, and a smile slowly formed on his well-defined side profile. You guys were there to steal on purpose, weren't you? The girl's sweet and soft voice sounded. Rong Hui's body stiffened, and he pinched his ear uncomfortably. I'm not the kind of person to meddle in other people's business, the young man said stubbornly. Xiangyi glanced at him and said, stealing, live streaming, blowing things up, calling the police, and exposing them. That's your plan, right? Rong Hui's expression stiffened. How did she manage to guess the brilliant idea, that the few of them had spent so much effort to come up with. The young man kicked a stone on the side of the road and said awkwardly, "Are you trying to say that this plan is very childish?" Well, we want to be more mature too. However, they didn't know what to do. This was already the best plan they could come up with. When they learned that there was a live-streamed variety show in the manor, they had never even watched it before, nor did they understand the influence of two under one roof. They rushed in recklessly without hesitation, not daring to cause too much damage. They even took a long time to mentally prepare themselves for the consequences of stealing a few eggs. After waiting for a few seconds, Ronghuai couldn't help but sneak a glance at her when she didn't answer. The girl's eyes met his, and her beautiful eyes curved into crescent moons. "You guys did a good job." Thump, 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 she's praising me. His heartbeat sped up like a drum. If there was a deer in his heart, he would have probably gotten a concussion. Ronghuai moved to her side, arched his thin back, and coughed twice. Come on. Huh? Ronghuai saw the look of confusion on her face and said angrily, "That." His voice became softer and softer. "You even patted that idiot's back. Why didn't you pat me?" In the next second, the girl stood on her tiptoes and used her soft and fair hands to rub his head a few times, just like how Shui coaxed her. Ronghuai was dumbfounded. Being touched on the head, his heart was like fireworks, but he said proudly, "You're so short. You have to stand on your tiptoes to touch my head." Xiangyi pursed her lips. "Your hair is so prickly, like a porcupine." The young man's hair stood on end. "What do you know? This is my hedgehog hairstyle." "All right." At this time, Xinguang and Yin Zhengxue came over with the process plaque. A slender wooden board was nailed onto the plaque. Yin Zhengxue said, "Little Xiangyi, this is your farm. You should be the one to build it." Everyone turned to look at Xiangyi. Not far away, machines roared and buildings collapsed, causing dust to fly everywhere. It was like the ruins in a doomsday movie. The shadows of the trees swayed and cast a large shadow. The girl happened to be standing at the boundary between darkness and light, her gaze calm and gentle. At that moment, a sentence suddenly popped up in Ronghuai's mind. "Everything has cracks, and she is the source of light." Chapter 211. Xiangyi blinked and said graciously, "Okay." She took the simple plaque from Yin Zhengshue's hands. Her melancholy dissipated a little, and the haters in the live stream immediately appeared again. "Are you kidding me? What's the point of doing this? Hurry up and punish the bad guys. Also, think about what to do with these students in the future. Why are you still so particular about rituals at a time like this? Xinguang really looks like a poor scholar. He might as well donate some money to the children instead of writing this." Ronghuai was thinking about helping Xiangyi dig a hole with a shovel, but before he could do so, he saw the girl pick a piece of soft soil and insert the plaque into the ground. She inserted it. Ronghuai. The netizens in the live stream? Although it's a muddy ground, how much strength do you have, little sister? From now on, this is no longer Mingxi Boys High School. Xiangyi smiled at the children in the crowd. "It's Little Rabbit Farm number 2. Some people in the crowd burst into tears while others cheered. All the children, regardless of whether they were happy or sad, finally had expressions on their faces. They were no longer zombie-like walking corpses. In the live stream, the haters were all rebuked. Xiangyi and Shui are not the police. How do you expect them to punish them? Some people are just holding on to their keyboards and blabbering. What else can they do? Did you cook at the scene? Did you shovel the school? If you didn't do anything, then shut up." Ritual is never a derogatory term. It's the most direct way for people to express their inner feelings. For children, the most important thing is not the closure of the school, but the reconstruction of their psychological beliefs. To a certain extent, Xiangyi's insertion of the Little Rabbit Farm plaque is a declaration of the end of these children's purgatory lives. It's equivalent to giving those who are bent on death a desire to live. This has a very positive meaning. The experts would be in charge of the follow-up work. Under everyone's gazes, Xiangyi calmly got on the tractor. Shi Sui and Xiang Li, who were as tall as male models, squeezed in beside her again. The girl protested softly, "You can sit at the back too," Shi Sui said calmly. "Your tractor doesn't even have a rear-view mirror." "I'll help you watch the road." Xiang Li scoffed. "You're trying to curry favor for no reason." Seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel, Xiangyi had no choice but to mediate. All right, let's go." "Hey," Rong Huayang raised his voice. You're leaving just like that? Aren't you going to say anything?" The staff of the program team were also looking forward to seeing what words Xiang Yi would say to encourage the healing process. The girl pursed her lips and threw down a particularly ordinary sentence. "No matter what happens, you have to eat well." After saying that, he started the tractor and left. "Everyone. That's it? Gone?" Someone shouted. Big Sister's words have a deeper meaning. Only when one is full will the body have strength, the brain will be able to think, and the heart will have the will to resist. This way, no matter what difficulties we encounter, we will be able to overcome them. Godly comment in the live stream: "Is that you, Chinese class representative?" However, this interpretation undoubtedly lifted the spirits of the children. The haze over everyone's heads was dissipating bit by bit. Back at the manor, Xiangyi was worried that Xiao Naofu would be hungry and was about to make cat food for it when she heard Xiang Li suddenly say, "Tutu, my hand hurts." Hearing this, Shi Sui raised her long eyebrows. Chapter 212. Hearing her brother say that his hand hurt, Xiangyi was extremely nervous. "How much does it hurt? Let me take a look." She held her brother's hand and examined it carefully. The comments in the live stream were extremely heated. B*tch Xiang, let go of our Dr. Gija's hand. You're the culprit who injured Dr. Xiang's hand. Why are you pretending to be kind? Was Li Gu drugged by her? Why is he calling her Tutu so intimately? Does she deserve it? Li Ji's hand was slender and well-defined. His skin was so fair that it was almost translucent. There were no external injuries on his hand. Xiang Yi pressed a few acupuncture points and asked him how he felt. Xiang Li said calmly, "It doesn't hurt that much. Maybe I'm just too tired." "Then sit here and rest for a while. I'll bring the medicinal cuisine over. I'll give you a massage later." Xiang Yi hurried over and personally brought the medicinal cuisine to him. Xiang Li scooped up the soup with his right hand. With a loud clang, the spoon hit the edge of the bowl. Xiangyi's heart clenched and she bit her lower lip worriedly. "My brother's hand, is that injured?" I'll feed you?" she asked carefully. Xiang Li's eyelids drooped and the red mole at the end of his eye was faintly discernible. "It's okay, I'll just switch to my left hand." It could be said that he was a vivid portrayal of weakness and stubbornness. It was heartbreaking. Shi Sui was speechless. "Fine, I'm impressed by his acting skills." Xiangyi watched him eat the medicinal cuisine. She wiped his hand with a warm towel and gently massaged his wrist. Her technique was professional and she used just the right amount of strength. Xiang Li squinted his slender eyes in comfort. Xiangyi massaged him for more than 10 minutes. "Are you feeling better?" she asked. "I'm fine." Xiang Li's lips curled into a bitter smile. "I'm used to it." Xiangyi was even sadder. She swore in her heart that she would definitely cure her brother's hand. Suddenly, Xiao Naofu, who felt left out, came to protest. It jumped into Xiangyi's arms and patted her shoulder with its pink and white paws, as if accusing her of being a scumbag. "Meow, meow, meow." The baby tiger roared. Xiangyi said apologetically, "Wait a moment, I'll cook for you." Xiao Naofu rubbed against her collarbone, aggrieved. "Meow meow, Shi Sui, very good, even this stupid cat came to join in the fun." Xiangyi went to the kitchen. Xiang Li raised his hand and scooped up Xiao Naofu onto his lap. The white kitten was a tiny ball, about the size of his palm. "Xiao Naofu, who still didn't know much about its second brother, turned over innocently, revealing its little belly. It flicked its tail twice, waiting for this cultured and refined man to serve it. Unexpectedly, a dark light flashed behind the man's silver-rimmed glasses. Male? If it's a little older, I'll send it for sterilization. Xiao Naofu. For once, Shui agreed with him. Let's pick an auspicious day. Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled up, its cat eyes tearing up. Whoa, these two men are so scary. Xiangli glanced at the luxurious three-story cat villa not far away and frowned. Extravagant and wasteful, a kitten sleeping in a shoe box will do. Shui, a delivery box will do too. The audience in the live stream almost died laughing. Why won't these two men even let the cat off? Xiao Naofu in front of Xiangyi, showing off. Xiao Naofu after Xiangyi left, pitiful and cowardly, Movie King x Dr. X Kitten, rounding them up, they're a family of 3. This cult CP has hit the jackpot. Chapter 213. Just then, Xiangyi came out of the kitchen with a bowl of cat food. Xiao Naofu looked as if it had seen its savior. It bounced over and hugged the girl's slender ankles. What's wrong, Xiao Naofu? Xiangyi bent down and pinched its little ears. Xiao Naofu cupped her hand, not daring to meow. Rub its head, eat your food. Xiangyi placed the bowl in front of the cat and coaxed it gently. Xiao Naofu turned its grief into appetite and buried its head into the chicken and pumpkin rice. Xiangyi looked at the two men on the sofa and asked uncertainly, "Did you two bully Xiao Naofu?" Although she felt that Shui and her brother were not childish people, Xiao Naofu looked too pitiful. Shui looked calm. Do I look like someone who would bully a kitten in your eyes? The man's rhetorical question stumped Xiangyi. The girl struggled for a long time, hesitated, and shook her head. Xiao Naofu looked up from the bowl, its eyes wide open. Damn it. You should do something that has to do with humans. Xiang Li's expression did not change as he quietly looked at his sister. Xiangyi swayed again. She scratched Xiao Naofu's chin and whispered, "Second brother is a genius, he wouldn't do such a boring thing. You have to be more obedient in the future." Xiao Naofu's face was full of shock. Does this hoo-hoo still have a place in this stupid woman's heart? These two dog men are acting as me. Xiao Naofu angrily pointed its butt at Xiangyi and lowered its head to continue eating. In this year's competition, Shuringdi and Bai Kihai each got 1 point. However, the two men were soon unhappy. After Xiangyi fed Xiao Naofu the cat food, she began to comb its fur, feed it nutrition cream, put on ear drops, and brush its teeth. What did it mean to receive special favor? This was it. The two men's faint gazes were about to dig a hole in Xiao Naofu's body. Xiangyi then accompanied Xiao Naofu to play with the cat's stick and pinball for a while before giving it a kiss and carrying it to the cat hammock to lie down. Xiao Naofu turned around, still sulking at her. Xiangyi was puzzled and was about to shake the hammock again when she heard her second brother call out to her. "Tutu, my hand hurts again." "Huh? Why so often? Shall I take your pulse?" "Okay." Because it was related to her brother's hand, the young lady took his pulse very seriously. After a few minutes, she moved her fingertips away. It's more serious than she thought. If she had been in her past self before she transmigrated. But now, she was confident that she could be cured. "Do you want to try acupuncture?" Conservatively speaking, his condition should improve a lot after a few acupuncture sessions. In the live stream, the netizens once again exploded. You just want to cripple Dr. Xiang. Evil spirit, stay away from Dr. Gidge. If you touch him, I'll feel like you've tarnished the untouchable flower. You think it'll get better just because you say so? What if it fails? Who's going to take responsibility? While the comments section was being heated, the girl said seriously, "I can write down a plan and you can show it to the other doctors. If it's feasible, you can get someone else to perform acupuncture for you." It wasn't that she didn't have the ability to perform acupuncture on Xiangli, but she was afraid that her brother wouldn't believe her. The netizens? Xiang Li suddenly smiled, revealing the red mole at the corner of his eye. He reached out his hand, the light blue veins on his fair wrist particularly obvious. His voice was gentle and clear. You can do it. My tutu is trustworthy. Chapter 214. At that moment, Xiangyi thought that she was hallucinating. The girl looked up blankly and didn't respond for a long time. Tutu, you're already 20 years old, why are you still so silly? Xiang Li's tone sounded helpless, but it was more like he was doting on her. What are you waiting for? I'm giving you a chance to bully me, aren't you? When she was a child, apart from her brother whom she didn't dare to provoke, her younger siblings and uncles had all been bullied by Xiang Li. Xiangyi finally reacted. She took a deep breath and said sincerely, I will definitely do my best. When the girl went to get the acupuncture tools, the comments in the live stream went viral. I was just being polite and you took it seriously? Don't you know what kind of medical skills you have? It's one thing to treat a fever and set a bone, but this is an injury to the nerves. If Western medicine could treat it, it would have been treated long ago. Do you think it's your turn? I'm convinced. Are these men creatures who think with their lower bodies? Why do they seem so mesmerized when they see the vase fairy? Ah, I'm so angry. Dr. Gidge is a national treasure in scientific research. Doesn't he have any bodyguards around to take down B*TCH Xiang? If she keeps messing around, Dr. Gidge's hand will never be able to recover. In fact, there were indeed special forces soldiers protecting Xiang Li in the dark. However, Xiang Li had always been assertive and no one dared to disobey him. Hence, they had no choice but to report it to their superiors. Soon, Xiang Li received a call. His expression was calm as usual. Yes. I believe in her. She will never hurt me. I will bear all the consequences alone. Don't implicate her. Hearing his words, the netizens in the live stream became even more confused. Dr. Gidge, what kind of memory do you have? Have you forgotten that she was the one who caused your injury? Ah, this involves a blind spot in my knowledge. So, what's going on? Could there be something else going on? What's going on? The video is real. The person climbing the rock is indeed the vase fairy. Fans, don't wash it, it's awkward. I'm not anyone's fan, but I should be considered the oldest in this live stream. To be fair, even if Xiangyi really harmed Xiang Li, none of us have the right to forgive her on his behalf. But as long as he doesn't mind, no one else has the right to judge him, everyone was arguing on the internet. In reality, Xiangyi brought a medicine box over. She slowly disinfected the gold needles with an unprecedentedly solemn expression. People who were serious were always exceptionally charming. Many people in front of their screens were affected, and the live stream stopped for a while. I'm a little scared now. Xiang Li looked at his sister innocently. Can you coax me? Shi Sui was speechless. A person who dared to dissect a rabbit calmly at the age of 7 was now saying that he was scared? Only a fool would believe that. Xiangyi bit her lip. In fact, she was not very good at coaxing people. Other than making delicious food, all she could do was give out sweets. But there wasn't enough time to cook now, and second brother didn't like sweet things. She was a little anxious and subconsciously blurted out, Gidge, can you be scared later? The staff at the scene broke out in cold sweat. Sister E, we've only heard of eating later, but we've never heard of being scared later. Unexpectedly, Xiang Li's eyebrows relaxed into a smile. The gentle and refined man was obedient and cooperative. Okay, I'll try my best to wait. Everyone was speechless. Is that even possible? Xiangyi's face tensed up. Okay, I'm going to start then. Whoosh, the first needle accurately landed on the acupoint. Chapter 215. Then, the second and third needles, depending on the acupoints, the depth of the needles varied. Some were quick, some were twisted, and some were flicked. Xiang Yi was fully focused and deliberately slowed down. However, in the eyes of ordinary people, she was still too fast. Some netizens in the livestream began treating Xiang Yi from afar. How can anyone remove acupoints so quickly? You should at least find the right acupoint before inserting the needle. Wow, has this female star Xiang watched too many TV dramas? And she's watching it on 2x speed? How can acupuncture be done so quickly in real life? I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner. What kind of acupoints did she choose? She's just trying to be fast. She's obviously showing off. Anyway, I've never seen a Chinese medicine master perform acupuncture like this. After the acupuncture was done, Xiangyi's tense nerves finally relaxed a little. Shui handed her a tissue at the right time. She wiped her forehead with it, but the tissue was soon soaked. Xiangyi asked her brother, "How do you feel?" Xiangli pondered for 2 seconds and said, The area where you inserted the needle is warm, and some parts are even a little hot. Apart from that, there's no other discomfort." After he was injured, he visited famous doctors all over the country, and the country had also invited local medical masters to treat him. However, it was only a little hot at most. It had never been as hot as it was now. It's normal to feel hot. Xiangyi heaved a sigh of relief. Since you don't feel dizzy, we'll leave the needle for 10 minutes. After the needle is removed, you should regain some feeling. Xiang Li's eyes lit up. How confident are you? He had never regretted saving his sister because although the core was not hers, the body was hers. However, it would be a lie to say that he had no regrets. Xiang Li was such a proud person, yet he had become half-crippled in the field he was best at. He would also feel defeated and powerless. But now, Xiang Yi actually said that he could regain feeling in his hand. Even if it was just a little, he would be satisfied. Xiang Yi looked at him in confusion. Since I'm treating you, I'm 100% confident. She thought that her brother was disappointed because he could not fully recover, so she explained in a gentle voice, "Don't worry. Although you can only recover a little at a time, I promise that with the help of the prescription and moxibustion, your hand will be cured within 5 times. Let your senses completely recover." The girl's confident appearance seemed to glow. Xiang Li stared at her. After a long while, he slowly exhaled. "Okay, I will definitely cooperate with our tutu." The seemingly calm young doctor's heart was surging with waves. His hand could be healed. It wasn't a possibility, it was possible. He might have doubted the assurances of others. However, he believed his sister's words unconditionally. Little did she know that Xiangyi's words were too absolute, causing the netizens to be dissatisfied once again. The blogger who first revealed that Xiangli was injured was furious and posted another long post. Frowny face noob baldy PhD. I thought Xiangyi V you were just young and ignorant. I didn't expect you to be so vicious. Do you know how desperate Dr. X has been this year? He handed over his most prized research to someone else, not because he didn't want to continue, but because he couldn't do any more experiments. That was research that could win the Nobel Prize in medicine. He had given it to someone else just like that. What about you? His brain was stupid, his personality was selfish, and his medical skills were full of showmanship and exaggeration. Now, he actually dared to say that he could definitely cure Dr. X? What do you think of the intelligence of a genius? What do you think of the efforts of the famous doctors in the country this year? It's not enough that you hurt Dr. X's body, now you want to destroy his will. Your actions are despicable. Your intentions are damning. Chapter 216. As soon as this Weibo post was posted, it caused a heated discussion. Well said, no wonder she's a PhD student. Being cultured is different. I only know how to call her an idiot. Oh my god, is the vase fairy lying to Dr. Xiang? How can she do that? I'm going to cry again. Dr. Xiang trusts her so much. If he finds out that he was lied to, he'll be so upset. The netizens who were watching the show reposted, commented, and liked the post, sending it to the hot search list. Many people even tagged the big shots in the scientific research circle, hoping that they would come forward and say something. However, the strange thing was that none of the big shots spoke up. Some anti-fans took a different approach and tagged the Wuxia Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. They said passionately, shouldn't the traditional Chinese medicine practitioner's license be revoked? Buzz. A notification popped up on the screen. The anti-fans clicked on it and realized that it was a reply from the Wuxia Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. Hello. May I ask who this genius doctor is? Where can I find her? I'm willing to reward you handsomely. The anti-fans were dumbfounded. What the hell? Official Weibo, have you been hacked? He hesitated for a moment before typing, you don't have to thank me. She's a regular guest on a very popular live variety show called The Vase Fairy. After sending it out, he felt that something was amiss. After reading it several times, he finally reacted and hurriedly sent another message. Ahem, I'm sorry, I got used to calling her that. I almost thought that her surname was Vase. Her name is Xiangyi and her Weibo username is Xiangyi. A moment later. Many traditional Chinese medicine masters in the country received a call from the president of the Traditional Chinese Medicine Association. An emergency online meeting was called. More than 10 minutes later, dozens of traditional Chinese medicine masters gathered in the online conference room of a certain software company. Every one of them was a big shot who could be called a divine doctor. The person who presided over the meeting was the president himself. He was already in his twilight years and had deep wrinkles on his face. He was hale and hearty, and his hair was black and lush. Many of the masters even secretly discussed whether the president wore a wig or used hair dye behind his back. I called this meeting mainly to show everyone this video. The president made a gesture and a young boy beside him played the video for him. His excited voice could still be heard. Grandpa, I've confirmed that this video is real. This young divine doctor is only 20 years old. Little miracle doctor? How could a 20-year-old be called a divine doctor? Many of the masters muttered in their hearts. When they were 20 years old, they were still being lectured by their masters. At this moment, the video was shared to everyone's screen. Everyone casually glanced at it and their attention was instantly attracted. The girl in the video was calm and indifferent. She seemed to have the help of the gods when she inserted the needles. She removed the acupoints, inserted the needles, operated the needles, retained the needles, and removed the needles. Every step was done by her. In the eyes of the layman, it was as if she was moving at twice the speed. But in the eyes of these masters of the apricot world, he was a genius. 10 minutes later, when the video ended, many people realized that they were holding their breaths unconsciously. Who is this little divine doctor's master? Where do you live? Someone couldn't hold back and took the lead to ask. This immediately caused the crowd to be dissatisfied. Old Sue, are you trying to poach people in front of me? Do you think the little divine doctor will take a fancy to your shabby clinic? Why don't you come to me and take me as your teacher? My hospital is big. All of you are ugly, but dream on. Let me put it this way, where does the little divine doctor live? I'll go to her house and accept her as my disciple. Chapter 217. Just as everyone was discussing excitedly, a voice suddenly rang out. Elder Jing, who was known as the poison doctor, sneered. Take in a disciple? You want to take her in, but does she want to? Her acupuncture skills are enough to be a master for many of you. The conference room fell into an eerie silence. Elder Jing was good at fighting poison with poison. However, his reputation as the poison doctor was spread because of his sharp tongue. Because of his eccentric personality and sharp tongue, he had offended many patients from rich and powerful families. There was a moment of silence. Elder Yun, who was good at food therapy, said gently, the young lady's acupuncture skills are superb, but I can teach her food therapy. Elder Yun was very popular. As soon as he spoke, someone immediately agreed. Yes, yes, yes. I'm also very good at massaging. I can teach her. When it comes to cupping, if I claim to be second, who dares to claim to be first? The young lady's pulse reading is too slow. I'm afraid she's inexperienced. I can teach her how to look, listen, question, and feel the pulse. The conference room instantly became the time for the masters to show off. The president of the Chinese Medicine Association closed his eyes and rested. Now that traditional Chinese medicine was strongly impacted by Western medicine, the number of young people who were willing to learn traditional Chinese medicine was far less than Western medicine. After a long time, it was too difficult to find a good seedling. Medicine was like any other discipline. It needed geniuses. The young lady in the video displayed such a high level of acupuncture skills at the age of 20. Without a doubt, she was a genius. If they could nurture her carefully and gather the strengths of various schools, it would be a great thing to revitalize the medical industry. Thinking of this, the president coughed a few times and everyone immediately fell silent. My grandson said that she's recording a program. I'd like to invite a few of you to participate in her program and see if the young lady has any intention of becoming a disciple. Everyone instantly responded enthusiastically and expressed that they would choose them. At the Manor, live broadcast site. Xiangyi put away the needles and tidied up the needles. Xiangli tried to move his right hand and a look of shock flashed past his eyes. He really could feel it. Originally, his hand could only do some simple actions, such as holding a book. But now, he felt that he could write and draw. Xiangli couldn't help but be moved. He muttered softly, "Our tutu is really amazing." The netizens in the live broadcast room were speechless. It can't be. It's really effective. Could it be that Xiangyi wasn't messing around? Suddenly, there was movement at the door. A staff member came in and whispered a few words to Li Jianyu. A few seconds later, Li Jianyu said absent-mindedly, Sister E, please go to the door. The police are looking for you. The trolls started their business. The police are here to arrest her. Ha ha ha, I love it. The next second, Li Jianyu's voice spread throughout the live stream. He said he's here to give you a silk banner. The haters? Xiangyi went to the entrance of the manor in confusion. A white and blue police car was parked outside the black iron gate. When the uniformed policeman saw Xiangyi, he saluted her and handed her a big red banner with a smile. There were a few big words written on it: frowny face, radiant angel, passionate citizen. Thank you, Madam Xiangyi. You have contributed greatly to our investigation of the Mingxi boys' high school case. Xiangyi, other than the mobile little red flag she had when she was a student, she had never seen this before. Thank you. This is what I should do. The netizens in the live broadcast room were dumbfounded. They had only seen citizens giving silk banners to the police. So it was the other way around? This was really too amazing. Chapter 218. There was an uproar in the live stream. Official acknowledgement. What the F *CK? This isn't a script, is it? She's just an ordinary, warm-hearted citizen. Putting everything else aside, Li Tao, rational discussion. What's the standard of a female celebrity in the entertainment industry to receive a silk banner from the police? At this moment, countless haters were staring blankly at their keyboards with blank looks on their faces. How is she being criticized? How is she being criticized? This female celebrity, Xiangyi, is toxic. She's also a female celebrity, but she's either glamorous on the red carpet or taking street photos at the airport. Occasionally, there's even some love scandals. What about me? Gardening, cooking, catching pigs, sanxian, traditional Chinese medicine. She drove a tractor to send a child to school and actually saved the child's life. Come to think of it, I actually have some charisma. With this silk banner representing official acknowledgement, coupled with the fact that the acupuncture she had given Xiangli was indeed effective, the comments section became much friendlier. Sob sob sob, I didn't dare to say anything, but I really couldn't take it anymore. Sister E is still a good child if she knows her mistakes and changes. E has indeed done something wrong, and will admit it even if you don't push us over the head. However, I hope you can see the good in her red heart. I'm really confused now. I feel like the current vase fairy is so different from before. It's like she's a completely different person. You're not the same person. I used to like watching the videos of Vase Fairy's variety shows edited by the Up in the Ghost section. She's a variety star and has participated in many shows, but she's really a black hole in variety shows. Not only is she awkward, she also likes to cry, put on airs, and act like a big shot. But now, she's a completely different person. I'm starting to wonder if she has a twin now. Xiangyi returned to the living room with the silk banner. Shui chuckled. Do you want me to hang it up for you? Xiangyi was slightly embarrassed. No, let's put it away. I'll go check on Xiao Naofu, it's still ignoring me. Xiangli, who was sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window, flipped through the pages of the book on his lap with his pale fingers and said calmly, male creatures can't be spoiled. Once they're spoiled, they'll be spoiled. The words male creature had a double meaning. Shui raised her eyebrows and looked at him from afar. Xiangli looked over. Their gazes met in the air. Invisible electric currents crackled and exploded as they clashed secretly. The girl suddenly snorted. Is Xiao Naofu a boy? Shui, Xiangli, the two of them looked at Xiangyi. The little girl was curiously lifting the kitten's furry tail. Suddenly, Shui clasped her wrist, and she could feel the warmth of his fingers. It's not good for you to take advantage of Xiao Naofu like this, right? Xiangyi explained in a low voice, no, I'm just curious. I want to see, cough. Her milky white ears gradually turned red. She had never raised a cat, nor had she carefully studied Xiao Naofu's body. In addition, Xiao Naofu was her system when she was about to transmigrate, so its voice was a kind of androgynous mechanical voice. She had always assumed that Xiao Naofu was a girl. The corners of Shui's lips curled up slightly, and her peach blossom eyes narrowed lazily. So straightforward? That's not good. Xiao Naofu also wants to save face. In the live stream? Am I the only one who thinks the wrong way? Shuringdi is too flirtatious. He successfully made me blush in front of the screen. I'm louder than a screaming chicken. No one can cover my mouth. DBQ mom, I didn't become a scientist, but I became an expert today. Sisters, untimely occasion, I can. Chapter 219. The girl muttered weakly, but, it doesn't have that, what? Shui smiled. She didn't know if he really didn't understand or if he was deliberately teasing her. That one, the man's low laughter sounded in her ears. The two were so close that Xiangyi could even feel the vibration of his chest. Her wrist seemed to be gently caressed, and an indescribable feeling of affection arose. She felt a slight itch. She felt restless. Shui leaned over, turned off their microphones, and whispered a few words in her ear. Then, as he wished, he saw, the redness on the little rabbit's ears became more prominent. Xiangyi. So that's how it is. Xiao Naofu, who was on the hammock, licked its paws and glanced at Xiangyi in disgust. Stupid woman. Not only could she not tell its gender, but she couldn't even tell how bad the two men in the room were. Especially Shui, this stinky man. Even a dog isn't as good as him. A moment later. Shui's voice was tinged with a low, husky smile. Do you understand? Xiangyi's voice was like a mosquito as she replied, not far away. Xiangli flipped through his book and said coldly, do you think you can hold Tutu's hand just because you want to? He was plotting something. Did he think that he, Tutu's second brother, was dead? Only then did Xiangyi realize that Shui had been holding her wrist the whole time. As if she had been scalded, she pulled her hand away and said uncomfortably, I'm going to make a cake. Teacher Ian and the others should be back soon. The girl fled into the kitchen. Shui looked at Xiangli and mouthed a few words with his thin lips. His back was to the camera, so the audience in the live broadcast room couldn't see it. However, Xiangli could read lips and easily recognized Shui's words. Don't be angry, second brother-in-law. In Nanchang, men would only call their wife's brother or uncle. Xiangli secretly gritted his teeth. I treat you as my brother, but you want to hit on my sister? Dream on. The manor stretched to the green hills not far away. Xinguang accompanied his wife for a walk here. He took off his coat and put it on her. Madam, take a rest. The cameraman was filming silently. After returning from Mingxi Boys' High School, Yin Jiangxue was not in a good state. She tightened her husband's coat and sighed. In life, things don't always go as one wishes. Some people can't get what they want, while others can't. I really feel sorry for those children. Yin Jiangxue actually liked children very much and had put in a lot of effort over the years. First, he sought medical help. Later, he even tried praying to God and Buddha. But she still couldn't get pregnant. If she had children, she would treat them like treasures. But how could the parents of those children at Mingxi Boys' High School? Yin Jiangxue closed her eyes and couldn't bear to continue thinking about it. Xinguang said gently, children are like fate. We can't force them. We just have to let nature take its course. Yin Jiangxue's red lips moved slightly. Perhaps because the incident at Mingxi Boys' High School was too emotional, she revealed her inner thoughts. Actually, I recently asked a master to prescribe me a prescription. It said that it can increase the chances of pregnancy, but it will be harmful to the body. I may not be able to act anymore. I want to give it a try, Xinguang objected. No. Your health is the most important thing. The live broadcast room was suddenly filled with curses. Is Yin Jiangxue out of her mind? Me? I really don't understand why women like her insist on having children. I'm vomiting. Boys are okay, but women are hopeless. The Qing dynasty has already fallen and she still wants to carry on the family line for her husband? Chapter 220. Yin Jiangxue smiled bitterly and said, I'm sorry, hubby. You didn't do anything wrong. Xinguang knew that although she looked carefree, she was actually very sensitive, especially since her previous marriage had hurt her too deeply. Our marriage is based on love and trust, not children. If we have children, we'll raise them together. If we don't, it's okay. When we're old and gray, we'll still be able to spend some quality time together. Yin Jiangxue was amused by his words, and those sentimental and hesitant emotions also dissipated. She suddenly thought of something and said, I heard from Shui that little Xiangyi has medical skills. Why don't I ask her to take my pulse? Xinguang nodded and said, okay, I'll accompany you. There was another round of mockery in the pop-up comments. Even if you're desperate, you don't have to be like this, do you? I'm dying of laughter. Vase Fairy can't treat any incurable disease, let alone infertility. The female star of the Xiang family is full of brainwashing aura. Anyone who comes within 3 meters of her will be 100% effective, in the kitchen. Xiangyi put the chocolate mousse cake she had made into the refrigerator and waited for it to solidify before it was ready to eat. At the same time, there was a ding sound from the oven, indicating that the cupcakes she had made were ready. Xiangyi took out a plate and carefully decorated each with cream and cherries. She was done. She brought the cupcakes to the living room on a tray. Everyone else's cupcakes were of normal sweetness while Xiangyi's had a low-sugar flavor. Xiangli took a sip and a smile appeared on his face. As expected, Bunny still remembered his taste. Wow, little Xiangyi, you made a cake. Yin Jiangxue, who had just returned from outside, saw the cake and her eyes lit up. Ah, but I've been on a diet lately, Xiangyi said. Shall I make you a low-sugar one? Yin Jiangxue waved her hand and said, No, I'll just take one bite. She picked up a cupcake and ate it. The fruit was fresh, the cream was dense, and the cake was sweet and fragrant. The combination was soft and delicate, yet it didn't lose its texture. It was delicious. Thus, one bite became many bites. She stuffed the dessert into her mouth and said vaguely, Little Xiangyi, you must be a professional dessert chef. As a chef, she naturally felt a sense of accomplishment when the food she made was liked so much. Xiangyi smiled and made a cup of black tea for her. The cake was slightly sweet, and the slightly strong black tea instantly highlighted the taste of the cake. The next second, Xinguang's half-eaten cake was also snatched away by her. Madam, don't you want to lose weight? Xinguang helplessly asked. Shoo! Lower your voice, don't let my fat hear you. As long as I eat fast enough, the fat won't be able to catch up with me. Xinguang, ha ha ha, Teacher Yin, you're definitely the king of 2 under 1 roof. Mr. Sheng's expression is so affectionate. He probably really likes Yin Jiangxue. Who wouldn't love such a beautiful and interesting Mama Yin? Her acting skills are so good too, TSK, so what if she's outstanding? She's still a divorcee who can't even give birth. There's an idiot comment in front, I suggest everyone report it. After eating 3 cupcakes, Yin Jiangxue finally stopped. She brushed her hair and pretended that nothing had happened. Xinguang reminded her, by the way, didn't you say that you wanted Miss Xiang to take your pulse? Ah, yes. Yin Jiangxue looked at Xiangyi with anticipation in her eyes. Little Xiangyi, can you take my pulse? Chapter 221. Xiangyi said, of course, are you feeling unwell? Yin Jiangxue did not hesitate and said generously, I want to ask if there's still a possibility of me getting pregnant. Xiangyi nodded slightly. Please give me your left hand. Yin Jiangxue stretched out her hand and placed it in front of Xiangyi nervously. About 2 minutes later, the girl said gently, please give me your right hand. Pulse diagnosis was one of the looking, listening, asking, and feeling methods. It was said that a man's left hand was the woman's right hand, but in fact, it was more comprehensive and accurate to take the pulse of both hands. After taking the pulse, Xiangyi frowned slightly and did not speak for the time being. Seeing her reaction, Yin Jiangxue's heart skipped a beat. However, although she was disappointed, she still turned to Xiangyi. I'm fine, you don't have to say anything to comfort me. I know I'm not fated to have children in this life. Xinguang hugged her shoulders and patted her gently. Xiangyi looked up in surprise. Miss Yin, you've misunderstood. I'm thinking about which prescription to choose. She had once traveled through a world. In order to help the female lead of that world ascend to the position of empress, Xiang Yi worked hard to study medicine and became the first female imperial physician. She was best at gynecology. However, if she was too good at it, it would also be troublesome. Just like how a straight-A student could write down the standard answer quickly, but sometimes, a genius student would struggle with which one to write down, Yin Jiangxue was overjoyed. Do you mean that I can still get pregnant? I'll give it a try. Xiangyi gave the most conservative answer. There's about a 90% chance, but you'll need to cooperate with me to nurse your body. 90%? Yin Jiangxue could not believe it. The doctors she had seen before all said that the chances were slim. The most optimistic one, which gave the greatest possibility, was only 10 to 20%. The girl took a pen and paper and wrote down the prescription. She folded it and handed it to her. I'll prepare a medicinal diet and recipe for you later. If you're still worried, you can take the prescription to the experts. After confirming that there's no problem, you can take the prescription. Yin Jiangxue felt as if she had received a treasure and thanked her profusely. Thank you. Thank you, little Xiangyi. I will definitely do as you say. Some of the viewers watching the live stream were genuinely happy for Yin Jiangxue, while others were jealous. What kind of prescription is this? Is there only 4 words written on it? Drink more hot water? Vase Fairy, please go read some tactful chicken soup novels. You're always talking big, I can't stand it. First, you said that you can cure the doctor's older brother after 5 times. Now, you're saying that there's an 80% chance that you can make Mama Yin pregnant. You even confidently said that you'll show the prescription to an expert. Do you really think you're a miracle doctor? No, she's not confident. She just knows that no one can argue with her. How could Dr. Xiang and Teacher Yin have anything to do with her after leaving the show? She did it on purpose because she felt that it wouldn't be good for them to fall out with her. TSK, it would be great if they could hire an expert to do it until now. They would definitely smash the Vase Fairy's face. As soon as this bullet screen floated past, another staff member came in and whispered a few words to Li Jianyu in a hurry. This time, not only was Li Jianyu in a trance, he was also confused on the spot. It can't be, right? It can't be, right? The president of the Wuxia Chinese Medicine Association, along with several big shots of Chinese medicine, begged to appear on their variety show? The reason was, his eyes focused on Xiang Yi. He swallowed his saliva and said into the microphone, Sister Yi, someone is looking for you again. I think it's a few old grandpas. Chapter 222. At the entrance of the manor. Xiang Yi didn't know any of the old men in front of her. She politely greeted, "Hello, Grandpa, are you looking for me?" "That's right." The one who spoke was Elder Fong, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association. He said calmly, "Here's the thing, we want to use your show to popularize medical knowledge to the public and promote traditional Chinese medicine culture. Is it convenient for you?" Xiang Yi looked at Li Jianyu and said, "Director Li, of course. It's our honor." Li Jianyu, who was behind the camera, said while wiping his sweat profusely. He knew the identities of the three big shots. Elder Fong, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association; Elder Yun, the heir of Huichun Hall Medical Hall; Elder Jing, the chief master of Jishir Hall Medical Hall. If the three of them were to appear in Xianxia novels, they would definitely be the immortals hidden in the protagonist's ring. It was no exaggeration to say that they were medical experts that many rich and powerful families couldn't afford to hire. Yet, they were now going to appear on Two Under One Roof, an online live variety show to spread medical knowledge. How was this using a sledgehammer to kill a chicken? This was simply using a green dragon crescent blade studded with gems. "This way please." Xiang Yi led the way in front and couldn't help but take a few more glances at Elder Yun. Elder Yun had a mild temper and he said with a smile, "Young lady, do you find me familiar?" Xiang Yi nodded and said, "Grandpa, there seems to be a photo of you in The Guide to Traditional Chinese Medicine Cuisine." "Oh. You've actually read the book I wrote?" Elder Yun's eyes lit up with joy. "Are you interested in diet therapy?" At the mention of the past, the young lady was a little embarrassed. "Actually, I read it as a recipe book. At that time, I was just learning medicine from my grandfather. Every day, I was either memorizing the names of herbs or prescriptions. I felt that it was too boring, so I cooked according to your book. My favorite food is your American ginseng double snow lean meat soup. It tastes especially good with some candied dates." Elder Yun smiled and didn't forget to give Elder Fong and Elder Jing a smug look. "This disciple of mine is mine." Elder Fong was unperturbed. He stroked his beard and looked like an otherworldly expert. Elder Jing snorted in disdain. "You've published a few books. Other than the Guide to Medicinal Cuisine that's a bestseller, the other books are all slow-selling. Which publisher doesn't cry when they see you?" Elder Yun, in addition to diet therapy, he also studied other aspects of traditional Chinese medicine. The books he wrote were profound and complicated, and he liked to quote ancient Chinese. Not only did he require the reader to have outstanding medical skills, but he also had to keep up with the literacy level. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to understand what he wrote. As a result, most of his books didn't sell well. Elder Yun faintly smiled. "I heard that you were poisoned when you tried medicinal herbs a few days ago?" "I'm afraid you're the current Shinong, Li Shizhen of Nancheng." Elder Jing. He flew into a rage out of humiliation. "That's a foreign herb. I've never seen it before, so I was careless and fell for it." The live stream became a sea of joy. "I've found out. These people are all titans of the Chinese medicine industry, but they're like primary school students when they get along with each other. Ha ha ha, master. Teach me how to insult people. Ah no, teach me medicine. It's okay to expose each other's shortcomings, how mean. But I don't mind listening to more dog talk." When everyone entered the living room, they naturally exchanged a few pleasantries. Yin Jiangshue's eyes lit up when she heard their true identities, but then slowly dimmed. How could such a big shot make a move so easily? Chapter 223. She had been looking for famous doctors all these years and had seen the fickleness of the world. She had met doctors who were benevolent, doctors who were only after money, and even scammers who weren't good at medicine. The more skilled a master was, the more difficult it was for ordinary people to make an appointment with him. She sighed and decided to let nature take its course. It would be great if she could get a few masters to treat her. If they couldn't, then they didn't owe her anything. Xiangyi took out a tea set that her third brother had given her. Xiang Qi had good taste, so the tea set he had chosen was simple and beautiful. It was pleasing to the eye just by looking at it. She warmed the cup, washed the tea, and made the tea. The young girl's actions were natural and elegant. Elder Feng and the others tasted the tea and looked at Xiangyi with even more affection. It was as if they were looking at their own disciple. Elder Jing couldn't wait to ask, "Young girl, who did you learn your medical skills from?" Xiangyi answered honestly, "My grandfather." Xiang Yin? Elder Jing frowned. He's quite good at medicine. He had Xiang Yin as his WeChat friend, but that old man always liked to show off how cute his little granddaughter was. It was very annoying, so he had blocked Xiang Yin a few years ago. Now that he thought about it, he regretted it so much. He had missed such a good seedling. Elder Yun took a sip of tea and said, "It's rare to hear you praise someone. I thought you were too short of vocabulary and had never learned any commendatory words." Elder Jing retorted, "Commendatory words are used to praise people." Elder Yun was speechless. Seeing that the two old friends were about to quarrel again, Elder Feng rubbed his forehead and said, "All right, don't forget about business." The two old men instantly shut their mouths and stared at Xiang Yi with burning eyes. The young girl instinctively shrank behind her brother. Xiang Li lowered his eyes and drank the tea. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. However, Shi Sui seemed to have seen through something. He pushed his glasses up his nose bridge and asked with a smile, "How are you going to popularize medical knowledge?" "Our program team will cooperate fully." Elder Feng said faintly, "If we were to talk purely about theory, it would be too boring. I'm sure the young people in front of the screen wouldn't like to hear us talk about yin and yang, the 5 elements, evil energy, and cold energy. Therefore, we're going to use practical methods to convey it. Is there anyone present who is unwell? For example, excessive internal heat, cold, headaches, and so on." At first, no one dared to say anything out of fear of their identities. For a moment, the atmosphere was somewhat cold. Li Jianyu was the first to raise his hand. I've been suffering from an oral ulcer recently. Can it be treated?" Elder Yun suggested that they eat more pears, loquats, tomatoes, and other fruits and vegetables. Elder Jing suggested that they could use gentian laogan decoction or buplurum decoction. Elder Feng, on the other hand, gave a detailed explanation, from the cause of the disease to the symptoms to how to treat the symptoms. His explanation was easy to understand and fascinating. With Li Jianyu taking the lead, the other staff members also raised their hands. Yin Jiangxue was a little hesitant. What if she caused the masters to be flamed by the netizens? That was not what she wanted to see. Shen Guang held her hand. "Madam, why don't we show the prescriptions to the masters?" Yin Jiangxue heaved a sigh of relief. That's good too. If the masters approved of Xiangyi's prescription, she could just follow the prescription. Thinking of this, Yin Jiangxue handed over a prescription. Because it was folded and the paper was similar, she didn't realize that she was handing over the prescription that the doctor had given her. Chapter 224. Old Master Feng took the prescription from her. The three of them first took Yin Jiangxue's pulse, after which Old Master Feng opened the prescription and took a few glances at it. His brows furrowed. It was obvious that this prescription wasn't written by a young lady. He passed the prescription to Old Master Yun. Yin Jiangxue asked uneasily, "Old Master Feng, is it because of my body?" After reading it, Old Master Yun had a similar reaction and passed it to Old Master Jing, who was the most proficient in pharmacology. The more Old Master Jing looked at it, the angrier he got. He had a bad temper to begin with and slammed the table, causing the tea to splash all over the table. Nonsense. What kind of lousy prescription is this? It looks like a pile of expensive supplements, but it's actually just a pile. It's fine if it's just a temporary solution, but this prescription is also extremely harmful to the body. If you take it for a long time, not only will it be impossible for you to get pregnant, even your internal organs and meridians will be affected. Quack. No, this kind of person doesn't deserve to be a doctor. Yin Jiangxue's face turned pale. So, it's still impossible for me to get pregnant. The netizens in the live stream were furious. Wasn't this prescription written by Vase Fairy? I want to throw a gas can at her. She's treating human life like grass. She's deliberately trying to kill someone. Oh my god, she's quite polite when she calls her teacher Een, but I didn't expect her to be so hypocritical. It's fine if you don't know how to treat it, but why do you have to harm others? Ah, big shots, look at the doctor's brother's hand. Has his condition worsened? I'm breaking out in cold sweat. F***CK, that's right. She even performed acupuncture on Dr. Xiang. That burning sensation won't hurt his nerves even more, right? Normal acupuncture won't cause burning. The comments were filled with anger, and many netizens even began to curse Xiangyi's ancestors. At the critical moment, Shi Sui narrowed her eyes and said in a calm voice, Mama Een, that prescription wasn't written by Sister E, right? As soon as she said that, someone angrily retorted in the comments, why does Shi Sui always defend Vase Fairy? How dare he lie like that? She clearly wrote the prescription just now. Does she think that the tens of millions of viewers in the live stream are blind? Een Jianghu was stunned for a moment. She quickly rummaged through her pockets and realized that there was a prescription inside. Her mind was blown, and it took her a few seconds to calm herself down. She opened it and was filled with apologies. I'm sorry, this is the prescription that little Xiangyi gave me. I'll have to trouble you guys, oh? The little miracle-working doctor opened it. Elder Jing was the first to snatch it over and looked at it carefully. The more he looked, the brighter his eyes became. It could be called a good prescription. However, if he were to perfect the formula, it would be even more perfect. Elder Yun couldn't wait any longer. Let me see. Elder Jing turned around childishly, no. Mine. This was his future disciple, and he should be the one giving pointers. Elder Yun complained to Elder Fong, President, look at him. How can he be so domineering? Elder Fong was also a little speechless. He coughed lightly, indicating that Elder Jing should not go overboard. Only then did Elder Jing reluctantly move the prescription towards Elder Yun. Then, let's look at it together. Elder Yun put on his reading glasses. The two old men, who were more than 100 years old, were full of praise as they looked at it. They were like the bootlickers in music games. This handwriting is as sweet as a tree and as gentle as a breeze. The combination of these herbs is novel and unique. This dosage is also very mild. It's best to use it to nourish the body. Thousands of words turned into a sentence that the two of them slapped their thighs in unison. Wonderful. Chapter 225. That was followed by the exclamation of, wonderful. The netizens in the live stream were dumbfounded. The Vase Fairy wasn't the one who wrote the first prescription that was criticized. The Vase Fairy was the one who wrote the second prescription that was praised so highly. Not only the netizens, but the executives of Biyao TV were also about to vomit blood. The number of viewers in the live stream of Two Under One Roof had reached 10 million. The executives also received news that many national brands had begun to contact Two Under One Roof. At first, no one was interested, but now, they were scrambling for sponsorship. It was said that the highest bid had already reached 50 million yuan in sponsorship fees. And a variety show could have multiple brand sponsorships at the same time. On the other hand, eating well for all three meals, which they spent hundreds of millions to invite Joy E and Pop Queen Jiang Yun, still had a lukewarm 4 to 5 million viewers. At the beginning, the idea of Two Under One Roof was proposed by Li Jianyu, and Li Jianyu was forced to leave. The station head's face was dark and cold as ice as he stared at a certain figure at the conference table. That person was the executive who defended Chen Mian and forced Li Jianyu to leave. Because of his actions, the station was now losing at least a few 100 million yuan. If Li Jianyu had stayed, wouldn't the success of Two Under One Roof now belong to Biyao TV? The station head flew into a rage and told the executive to get lost on the spot. He slammed the folder in his hand and questioned, "You found Joy E and Jiang Yun, for 100 million yuan? Why can't you find an artist like Xiangyi? Isn't it just cooking, musical instruments, and Chinese medicine? The deputy director sneered. Then why don't you tell me how to find one? These things aren't something that can be learned in a day or two. Culinary skills are fine, but at the same time, musical instruments are rare. If you include Chinese medicine, aren't you just making things difficult for me? Even if we do find her, do you think that person will have the same conditions as the Xiangyi family's manor? Can there be a high-tech farm that creates jobs for farmers like Little Rabbit Farm? Okay, let's say there is. But who can invite a famous director, an esports god, a designer who won the Muse Award, a popular boy band, a national treasure doctor, and a divine doctor at the same time? If you can do it, why don't you do it? A series of questions caused the scene to be deathly silent like cicadas in winter. God. Is this woman crazy? The station manager was also stunned. He never thought that the woman who had worked for him for so many years would dare to talk back to him in public. You're just a woman. Giving you the position of deputy director is already enough of a favor for you, yet you still don't know what's good for you. The station manager was furious, but considering her ability to work, he couldn't just fire her directly. He could only threaten her, you're suspended without pay immediately and reflect on your mistakes. You're not allowed to come to work without my notice. The deputy director, Wan Qing, sneered. She casually tore off the identity plate that she had treasured for many years and threw it on the table in a valiant manner. I miss your mother. I quit. At this moment, in the manor's living room. Seeing that his two old friends couldn't stop praising her, Elder Fong had no choice but to say, Madam Yin, you don't have to worry. If you take good care of yourself according to this prescription, there's a possibility of you having a child. Forget it, I'll be more conservative with my words. He paused for a moment and felt a sense of pride. There's a 99% chance that you'll have a child. Yin Jiangxue was pleasantly surprised. She sobbed and covered her face with her hands, crying tears of joy. Chapter 226. Shengguang was also a little moved. He raised his hand and hugged her. Darling, that's great. You can finally fulfill your wish. Looking at the loving couple, everyone felt happy for them from the bottom of their hearts. In the live stream, I'm not listening, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. What the F*** CK? Vase Fairy's medical skills are so brilliant. She should be really amazing. After all, these people are all giants in the Chinese medicine industry. I'm just curious how the program team managed to invite them. Li Jianyu happened to catch a glimpse of that comment and thought to himself, I really didn't invite them, the big shots are the ones who came willingly. They don't even need to pay for their appearance. It turns out that pies can come one after another, Dr. Xiang who doesn't need money, the big shots of Chinese medicine who don't need money, and Hades who is paying for it. He was overjoyed and he was grinning from ear to ear. Elder Fong and the other two slightly modified Xiangyi's prescription. Xiang Yi also discussed with them the follow-up diet and recuperation plans. She had the strength to begin with, and she was also humble. One was willing to learn and the other three were willing to teach. In the blink of an eye, they had been discussing for more than half an hour. Xiangyi benefited a lot and the three masters also thought that the ideas she came up with were good. They were full of praise for her. By the way, masters, since you're all here, why don't you take a look at Dr. Xiang's hand? Li Jianyu suggested. He thought that with these masters around, they might be able to help Dr. Xiang's hand heal faster. The three of them naturally had no objections. Xiang Li was also very cooperative. They finished taking his pulse. Elder Jing was the first to speak. If I were to treat him, I would use the method of fighting poison with poison to stimulate him. Although I can guarantee that he will regain some feeling in his hand, I'm afraid there will be other sequelae. Elder Yun said, I'm the opposite of him. The method I can think of is too gentle, but it will take too long. You're in the scientific research field and time is too precious. I'm afraid you can't afford to delay. Elder Fong pondered for a long time before stroking his beard. This world still belongs to the young after all. This acupuncture technique is something that old people like us can't think of. Even if we can think of it, we wouldn't dare to use it carelessly. I've heard of little Xiang's hand injury before. Previously, the descendants of the 9 needles of the divine, in our country had also thought of using acupuncture to treat him. However, he was already old and was afraid that his hand would be unstable. The younger generation wouldn't be able to take over, so they didn't dare to do it and delayed it for a long time. Elder Feng spoke at a leisurely pace, like a kind grandpa telling a story. Everyone listened attentively. In the end, he suddenly changed the topic. Now that I think about it, it's actually a good thing. Because my little disciple's acupuncture technique is even better. It was even more ingenious. Moreover, it would solve the root cause. It's even more effective. Everyone? What the hell? Elder Feng, did you receive money to advertise? Elder Yun and Elder Jing. I thought you were the most honorable, but I didn't expect you to be the most shameless. Elder Yun said angrily, when did little Xiangyi become your disciple? He's obviously my disciple. Elder Jing was even more direct as he scolded, you 2 old fogies, stop flattering yourselves. This is the disciple I've taken a liking to. Let me tell you, don't even think about snatching her from me. The 3 of them quarreled more and more fiercely. The 2 old grandpas who were almost 200 years old were about to fight. Xiangyi, she was quite confused. The netizens in the live stream were not only dumbfounded, but they were also stunned. Someone guessed weakly, are these 3 masters here to take in Xiangyi as their disciple? Chapter 227. Someone was dumbfounded. I thought that men would only fight over Xiangyi. I never expected that one day, they would fight to take her in as their disciple. Someone even commented on the front line. F***CK. The Wuxia Traditional Chinese Medicine Association posted on Weibo that there were more than a dozen traditional Chinese medicine masters who were late because they couldn't get tickets for the high-speed rail. These masters are all here to take Xiangyi in as their disciple. One of the masters even publicly said that Elder Feng and the other 2 got a huge advantage because they were from Nanchang. The netizens were speechless. They never expected such a reversal. The vase fairy whom they looked down on was actually the target of all the traditional Chinese medicine masters. She wasn't the one begging to be their disciple, but the masters were begging to take her in as their disciple. Amazing. The netizens who had followed the trend to criticize Xiangyi seemed to have been enlightened and suddenly sobered up. Thinking about it carefully, did Xiangyi really do something unforgivable? No. She played the electric guitar for the brothers of C7 at the annual gala of Tomato Entertainment. At Mingxi Boys High School, she had cooked a heartwarming meal for the children who had suffered so much. She had even uprooted the prison that was the source of all evil. She performed acupuncture on Xiang Li and wrote a prescription for Yin Zhengxue. She was so tired that the sweat on her forehead could soak the tissue paper. Looking back at the negative comments that they had posted, these people suddenly felt a little upset. She seemed, not only did she not do anything outrageous, she was actually a nice girl. However, there were also people who couldn't forgive her, especially the blogger Noob Baldy PhD, who posted on Weibo. Xiangyi V, have you apologized to Dr. Xiang today? No, smiley face, he had a lot of fans to begin with and was very influential. As soon as he posted on Weibo, many people were enraged and flocked to the live stream. Wow, she's cleared her name just like that? Isn't it her duty to treat Dr. Xiang? After all, if it weren't for her, Dr. Xiang wouldn't have gotten injured. Didn't you hear that the masters know her grandfather? She's a second-generation doctor. Who knows if the masters are here to support her on account of her grandfather? Once these words were spoken, they didn't get the same response as they did in the beginning. On the contrary, Xiangyi's fans and Untimely Couple's fans stepped forward. How do you know she didn't apologize? Isn't it a traditional virtue since ancient times to admit one's mistakes and correct them? We're willing to admit Xiangyi's mistakes, but why don't you dare to admit Xiangyi's excellence? No one is perfect. Everyone here, ask yourselves, who hasn't made mistakes? Why do you hold Sister E to the standard of a saint, but hold yourself to the standard of a rotten person? Just as the 2 sides were arguing, Shui suddenly opened her mouth. Seniors, may I trouble you to take Sister Yi's pulse? The three grandpas who had already started rolling up their sleeves looked at Xiangyi in unison. Little disciple, where are you feeling unwell? Disciple, why didn't you tell me earlier that you were feeling unwell? My beloved disciple, stretch out your hand. Don't panic. With me here, you will be cured. Xiangyi looked at Shi Sui in bewilderment, not understanding why he was doing that. Old Master Fang and Old Master Yun each grabbed one of Xiangyi's hands. Old Master Jing, who was a step slower, beat his chest and stomped his feet, wishing he could release a poisonous centipede or scorpion to bite the two old men. At this moment, Shi Sui said leisurely, Sister Yi has lost her memory in the past year and has only recovered recently. I'm worried if there will be any sequelae. As soon as she said that, there was an uproar in the live stream. Vase Fairy has amnesia. Chapter 228. Oh my god, art indeed comes from reality. What the F***ck? That was why it made sense. She was stupid last year because she lost her memory. Now that she has regained her memory, she's normal again. I've always liked Sister Yi's looks. I've watched all the television dramas and variety shows that she has participated in. Actually, I've guessed that she has dual personality disorder. Their personalities are really worlds apart. There was also a group of people who refused to believe it. You can even come up with an excuse like memory loss. Shi Sui, you're awesome. As expected of a man who has won the Best Actor and Best Actor awards. Look at how natural his acting is. Little fresh meats, come out and take a beating. Hey, what a coincidence. Not only did she lose her memory, she even selectively lost her memory. She can even recover after losing her memory. I'm impressed. Next time, she might as well say that her soul was possessed. Elder Fang and Elder Yun were extremely cautious and serious when taking her pulse. After a long time, Elder Fang said, judging from your pulse, your body is indeed still a little weak. You shouldn't work too hard in your daily life. Before he could finish, Elder Yun interjected, my dear disciple, you need to nourish your body well. Why don't you come back to the medical center with me and eat supplements for a few years? I guarantee that you'll recover from all your illnesses. Everyone was speechless. Supplements aren't supposed to be taken on a daily basis. Since when are they supposed to be taken on a yearly basis? Also, isn't it too natural for you to call me your beloved disciple? Elder Jing was displeased. Who are you looking down on? Our family may lack everything, but we don't lack good food for our little girls. My dear disciple, come with me. You'll have plenty of ginseng, bird's nest, and snow lotus. Elder Fang stroked his beard, looking otherworldly and otherworldly. However, he was extremely shameless. Disciple, since Grandpa Jing and Grandpa Yun are so enthusiastic, go to their house for 3 meals a day. After that, come back to me to learn medicine. If you can pack some 100-year-old ginseng or something for me after eating, that would be even better. Elder Jing was speechless. Elder Yun was speechless. Damn it. Why don't we order takeout for you? Xiangyi was speechless. If she didn't know how to take her own pulse, she would have thought that she was weak and on the verge of death. His body had been tormented. At most, he would be a little malnourished. After adjusting his daily routine and supplementing his diet, he would be able to recover in a month. Netizens, is it okay to use supplements to abduct Sister E online? Ha ha ha, I love it when these old men argue with each other. They're probably the worst of friends. I suddenly realized that the choice is in Xiangyi's hands. There are so many Chinese medicine masters for her to choose from like cabbages. I'm so jealous. Hee hee, a weak body doesn't prove that you've lost your memory. No matter how amazing Chinese medicine is, it can't reverse time and reverse memory loss. At this moment, Xiang Li pulled out a black-covered notebook from his backpack. The netizens in the live stream were very curious. Is the notebook of a big shot like the doctor's brother full of scientific research secrets? The next second, he opened his notebook and took out a few pieces of folded A4 paper from it. He asked politely, Sir, I'm sorry. This is Tutu's medical record. Can it be used as a reference? Netizens? Why would a scientific researcher, who was a national treasure, carry the medical records of a female artist in the entertainment industry with him? Following his movements, an ID photo fell out of the notebook. The camera happened to capture the photo. A young girl with 2 ponytails and no makeup was smiling sweetly at the camera. Damn it, why does this woman look exactly like Xiangyi? Chapter 229. Apart from Shui, no one else at the scene noticed this little episode. Xiangli calmly picked up the ID photo and put it back into his notebook as if nothing had happened. The netizens watching the live stream were extremely excited. Does Xiangli fancy Xiangyi? I think Xiangli doesn't look at Sister Yi the way a man looks at a woman. Instead, it's the way a brother looks at his sister. Speaking of that, I, a fan of the untimely couple, can't help but say that Shui is staring at his wife like a maniac today. The 3 masters studied Xiangyi's medical record. Amnesia is a disease caused by trauma to the brain. One's consciousness, memory, identity, or normal integration with the environment are all damaged. Old Mr. Fong frowned and said, "At present, there are no clear treatment measures for amnesia, and acupuncture therapy is not very mature either." Old Mr. Fong continued, "However, since she can recover, it means that her condition is improving. She just has to pay more attention in the future and slowly recuperate." With the medical record as evidence and old Mr. Fong's statement, the public opinion in the live stream was completely reversed. So it's because of amnesia. Ah, it's been so hard on Xiangyi. She's taking the blame for herself. No wonder her personality is so different. When she lost her memory previously, she was really annoying. Now that she has regained her memory, she's quite adorable. Many netizens had accepted the fact that Xiangyi had lost her memory for a year. However, there were also some who couldn't accept it. They've really put in a lot of effort to clear Vase Fairy's name. Even if she has amnesia, she's still the same person. It means that she's just pretending to be gentle on the surface. She's subconsciously a B***TCH. TSK. After a murderer kills someone, can he also say that he killed someone because he lost his memory and shouldn't be responsible for it now that he's awake? In the manner. Xiangli naturally put his arm around Xiangyi's shoulder and thanked old Mr. Fong and the others. "Thank you so much, seniors." Xiangyi twisted her neck stiffly and looked at him in disbelief. Xiangli suddenly flicked her forehead and said, "I'm sorry, it's my fault." Huh? Why is Xiangli apologizing to me? It's my uselessness that caused our Tutu to be misunderstood. If I was a little stronger, I wouldn't have hurt my hand. Xiangyi panicked. No, it's because, she suddenly froze, not knowing how to explain. Xiangli tried to smooth things over. When you lost your memory, your mind was like that of a toddler. If I didn't save you, the consequences would have been unimaginable. You were scared out of your wits at that time. I didn't take those words to heart. I've never regretted saving you. Everything was a rational choice. I hope you won't blame yourself for it. It's just a hand. It's not as important as your life. He said it casually, as if the suffering he had suffered in the past year was nothing at all. Xiangyi's eyes reddened. Second brother. Was he going to take all the responsibility on himself? The netizens in the live stream were also stunned. No way, right? Is Dr. Gidge so lovey-dovey? The next second, don't cry. His tone was helpless and gentle as he gently rubbed his finger against the tears at the corners of her eyes. Coaxing you is much harder than solving problems. Others may think that you're a bad person, but in my eyes, our Tutu is the best sister in the world. Chapter 230. After a few seconds of silence in the comments section, a dizzying barrage of pop-up comments flooded in. Brother? Biological brother? This is going to be the hottest topic of the year. I told you they're biological siblings. Exactly, Xiangli and Xiangyi sound like their family. Stop trying to be wise after the fact. You guys were the ones who scolded them the most just now. How pretentious. Were you born in a plastic bag? All the clamor seemed to have been paused. Xiangyi raised her little face and stared at her second brother in front of her in a daze. Tears welled up in her eyes and she tried her best to hold them back. However, the moment he coaxed her, tears welled up in her eyes. She was actually, really not that strong. In front of outsiders, she could remain calm no matter how aggrieved she was. However, in front of her brother, she couldn't keep her cool at all. As soon as his sister started crying, Xiang Li immediately panicked. He was indeed not good at coaxing girls. All he knew was to pat her back clumsily, again and again, patiently and gently. Shi Sui remained silent and turned to the side to block the camera for her. However, she didn't disturb her and Xiang Li. Do you want some candy? Xiang Li asked as he took out a milk candy from his trouser pocket. Shi Sui was speechless. Looking at the familiar brand of milk candy, his eyebrows twitched. Is giving out candy a coaxing technique that's been passed down in the Xiang family for generations? Xiangyi sobbed and said, I just want to cry. As soon as she spoke, the hearts of the fans in the live stream melted. I declare that from now on, I'm a mommy fan. Damn. Sister E is so meek in front of her brother. I really want to rub her in. I understand Xiang Yi. I'm in the advertising industry and I can smile even when I'm scolded by clients and leaders every day. However, whenever my mother calls me and asks if I've eaten, I cry. On the other hand, the blogger named Noob Baldy PhD immediately deleted several long Weibo posts that berated Xiangyi. In front of the screen, he felt extremely guilty. He was not a fan of Dr. X at all. He had deliberately pretended to be a fan of Dr. X and was just trying to attract more traffic. After those few Weibo posts, his Weibo had gained hundreds of thousands of followers. It was even more than the number of fans he had accumulated over the years of running Weibo. In this era where traffic could be converted into cash, this meant that his Weibo could receive more promotions and earn more money. He originally thought that he was quite smart, and the feeling of standing on the moral high ground to judge others was really too good. Who would have thought that Xiangyi was Dr. X's biological sister? In this way, his indignant denunciation had all become a joke. But Dr. X and Xiangyi were both so busy, so no one would argue with him, right? Thinking up to this point, Baldy decided to get lucky and registered a Smurf account. Since the number of views on the anti-celebrities Weibo was so high, why would he still want to be a campus tree hole blogger? 10 minutes later. The wind at dusk was chilly, and everyone was cooling off in the pavilion of the manor. Xiangyi had already gotten a grip on her emotions. After calming down, she felt a little embarrassed. She actually cried in front of so many people. A piece of watermelon was suddenly stuffed into her hand. She looked up and made eye contact with Shi Sui's deep and narrow peach blossom-shaped eyes. He smiled and said, "Have a piece of watermelon to hydrate yourself." Feeling a little embarrassed, Xiang Yi said, "Thank you." She held the watermelon and nibbled on it. Little did she know how excited the fans of the couple were. Shi Sui cut the sweetest part of the watermelon and gave it to Sister E. Rounding it up, this was the wedding candy. Open your mouths and eat the candy. Chapter 231. Mommy, I'm so jealous. Sister E looks like a little bunny when she's eating the melon obediently. Just now, Shi Sui blocked the camera for Tutu. Previously, he also blocked the camera for Tutu when she was sad. This man is really considerate, woo. What the hell is a big cotton-padded jacket? Are you trying to make me laugh to death so that you can inherit my emoji package? At this moment, the top cultists collectively went out to fight, refusing to let go of any candy. Although there were still some haters, they were soon drowned out. Elder Fong and the other two took a tour of the manor and were about to leave, but they smelled the aroma of food wafting from the kitchen. Elder Yun was proficient in the art of food therapy. After smelling a few Chinese herbs, he clicked his tongue and said, "Since my beloved disciple is making medicinal cuisine, I'll force myself to stay for dinner." The netizens were dumbfounded. "Sorry, Grandpa, you don't look like you're forcing yourself to stay. You look like you're very willing." Elder Jing sneered. She's obviously my obedient disciple. Seeing that the two of them were about to argue again, Elder Fong suddenly said, "Why don't we accept her as our disciple together? Wouldn't that be perfect?" Elder Yun thought for a few seconds and said, "I'll think about it." Although Elder Jing didn't agree, he didn't argue, which was rare. However, the netizens in the live stream didn't think much of it. They thought that Elder Yun and Elder Jing were just giving Elder Fong face and didn't turn them down directly. As the dishes that Xiangyi had prepared were served one after another, the number of viewers in the live stream of Two Under One Roof also increased. The foodies had arrived. Countless people had prepared their meals or ordered takeout, accompanied by drinks and snacks. They were all staring at the screen and swallowing their saliva. Braised pork with thick oil and red sauce, tender and glossy steamed pork ribs with garlic, light and delicious fish head tofu soup. There were vegetarian dishes, dry-fried mushrooms, cold shredded bamboo shoots, and so on, which filled the entire table. There were also two medicinal cuisines, one of which was the American ginseng lean meat soup from Elder Yun's medicinal cuisine guidebook, while the other was Xiangyi's original casserole soup. Elder Fong and Elder Jing picked up their chopsticks reservedly, but when they tasted the first dish, they paused in unison. My obedient disciple's cooking skills. Elder Yun impatiently tasted the two medicinal cuisines. The American ginseng double snow lean meat soup was improved based on his medicinal cuisine recipe. It tasted better. As for the casserole soup, through the combination of food and fine cooking, it looked, smelled, and tasted perfect. He had truly achieved the point where medicine borrowed the taste of food, and food aided the medicine's medicinal properties. Bitter medicine had turned into delicious medicine. After drinking 2 bowls of soup, Elder Yun suddenly put down his bowl with a solemn expression. Xiangyi said gently, "Grandpa Yun? Is the food not to your liking? Why are you calling me Grandpa Yun?" Elder Yun pretended to be angry. "Call me Master." Elder Jing was anxious. "You're really annoying." However, Elder Yun said earnestly, "Come, my beloved disciple, this is your second master." Elder Jing? Elder Yun turned his head and looked at Elder Fong. Elder Fong suddenly had a bad premonition. As expected, Elder Yun made a gesture. "That's your third master." In the live stream, is Old Yun crazy? How can he accept a disciple like this? That's right, other people have a master with a few disciples. How can there be a few masters with a disciple? Damn, Elder Yun is probably tricking others. Elder Jing and Elder Fong are such proud people, especially Elder Jing, who has a bad temper. He'll definitely refuse. In the next second, Elder Jing, who had never said anything good in his life, held back for a long time before saying, "Old man, you're really likable, the netizens?" Chapter 232. Fong Lao picked up a piece of red braised pork with his chopsticks. The thick sauce wrapped around the pork, and the juices splashed out when he took a bite. The sweet and fresh taste permeated every bit of the meat. He squinted his eyes in satisfaction and enjoyed it for a moment before he said slowly, "You're right. In terms of age, I'm the oldest, so you should call me master. Second brother, third brother, you should call me eldest brother." The netizens? Why? Why did Elder Fong, the president of the Chinese Medicine Association, fall for her? Xiangyi, who suddenly had 3 masters, was speechless. The girl didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Grandpa Fong, Grandpa Yun, Grandpa Jing, although I'm very interested in medical skills, I'm afraid I don't have time to learn recently. Since she had promised to record Two Under One Roof, she had to do what she said. Otherwise, it would make things difficult for Shi Sui and Li Jianyu. Elder Jing looked around and said, "The scenery here is beautiful and the air is pleasant. I can stay here and teach my beloved disciple some medical skills." Elder Yun, "Yes, it's quiet here and suitable for meditation." Elder Fong, "Little disciple, you won't dislike me, right? Sigh, we're old men, it's inevitable that people will dislike us." Xiangyi hurriedly said, "That's not what I meant. Grandpa, you can stay as long as you want. I'm just afraid that I won't be good enough and will let you down. Elder Fong had been waiting for her to say that. He winked at his entourage and someone immediately brought over a brocade box and respectfully placed it in front of Xiangyi. Xiangyi opened the box to see a piece of high-quality ginseng inside. At a glance, it was at least a few decades old wild ginseng. Grandpa Fong, I can't. Xiangyi wanted to decline politely, but she heard Elder Fong say calmly, it's a gift for you. You can eat it as a snack. It's not something expensive. The netizens? Eat ginseng as a snack? I'm kneeling to the big boss. Those who don't know better would think he gave her a carrot. I've seen a ginseng of similar size sold for 6 figures. Elder Yun also had someone bring over a gift, a box of Tianshan snow lotus. Before Xiangyi could open her mouth, he calmly said, don't be so courteous with your master. Drink the flower tea to dispel coldness, remove moisture, and beautify your complexion. The netizens were speechless. Snow lotus, flower tea. Forget it, I'll turn my mic off. Only Elder Jing's eyes widened like copper bells. These two scheming old men. You actually prepared a greeting gift behind my back. He had never fawned over anyone in his entire life, and he didn't know the ways of the world. How could he have thought of bringing a greeting gift for his obedient disciple? Seeing the little girl's flattered look in front of the ginseng and snow lotus, Elder Jing's heart ached. What kind of good thing was this? What was there to be at a loss about accepting such a small thing? The old man snorted and took out a card from the pocket of his tang suit. Here, swipe whatever you want to eat at our restaurant. The card he pulled out was the Ji Shi Tang Pharmacy's nationwide internal card. Netizens commented, at this moment, old Jing looks like the overbearing grandfather of the overbearing CEO in novels. Elder Fong. Elder Yun. Oh no, I've been outdone. Elder Jing put his hands in the pockets of his tang suit. He first glared fiercely at Elder Fong and Elder Yun, then looked at Xiangyi and smiled childishly. Chapter 233. Xiangyi did not want to dampen their spirits, so she had no choice but to accept the gifts from her grandfathers. Oh, no, her masters. She thought to herself that she would give them a suitable gift in the future. Seeing that the young lady had accepted the gifts, the 3 masters heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that the young lady had acknowledged them. The atmosphere at the dining table became more harmonious. Suddenly, there was a strange sound coming from the depths of the garden. Xiangyi was about to check it out when she acutely noticed that a few agile shadows had emerged from the dark. The nature of Xiang Li's work was special, and Elder Fong and the others were influential masters in the field of traditional Chinese medicine. Simply put, the only thing the manor lacked today was the bodyguards of these big shots. Soon, more than 10 boys with dusty faces were carried over as if they were little chicks. Reporting. These people are sneaking around and trying to barge in, said a stern and cold voice. Rong Hui was the first to retort. Who's sneaking around? Don't slander us. Then why didn't you leave the front door open? I have a legitimate reason to suspect you. Tell me, what's your motive? Xiangyi got up in time. I know them. Rong Hui and the rest were then released. What's going on? Are you interrogating us like we're criminals? Rong Hui muttered softly. When he saw Xiangyi's face, he suddenly felt guilty and whispered, Sister, we don't have any ill intentions. We just wanted to come and see you before we leave. After a few hours of construction work, Mingxi Boys High School was almost done. Most of the children had been taken home by their parents. However, there were also children like Rong Hui who did not want to go home but had nowhere to go. Probably because of the fledgling complex, they all had similar subtle feelings for Xiangyi. It was as if they could draw a sense of security from her. Xiangyi crossed her arms. It's already so late. Are you going to stay out all night? Wait here obediently. I'll arrange for a car to send you home. You don't have to arrange it. It's not like we don't know how to take a taxi. Rong Hui retorted. The little wolf cub was quite fierce and intimidating at first glance. In the next second, rumble. Rong Hui's stomach growled. The atmosphere became extremely awkward. Xiangyi turned her face away. She tried to hold it in for a few seconds, but in the end, she couldn't help but burst out laughing. As soon as she laughed, even Rong Huai's underlings betrayed him and laughed mercilessly. Rong Huai's ears turned red as he gritted his teeth. What's so funny? It's not funny at all. Little did she know that the netizens in the live stream were laughing like crazy. Ha 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 ha, incompetent rage, little brother must be shy. He wants to see Sister E bully him. Seconded. Although I like E who is meek and gentle in front of her brother, I like E even more when she's cool in front of her brother. Xiangyi finally managed to control her expression. Ahem, you didn't have dinner? A child in the crowd said shyly, this place is too remote. There's no place to eat nearby. When Xiangyi heard this, she said helplessly, then we'll leave after we finish eating. Go to the tool room and get a stool for each of us to sit here. Rong Huai recalled how tired she looked when she was cooking in the afternoon and immediately panicked. Who wants to eat your cooking? I don't want to eat at all. Someone behind him said, but you ate 8 buns made by Sister for lunch, and even poured out the last few drops of seaweed and egg drop soup. Rong Huai yelled, "Aw, shut up." Chapter 234. He turned around and met Xiangyi's smiling eyes. Rong Huai tugged at his pants and said in a low voice, it's not that I ate too much, it's just that the buns you made are too small. It's so small that it's gone in 2 bites. What's wrong with eating 8? Xiangyi's eyes were clear, as if they were filled with clear moonlight. She smiled and said, it's okay to eat a little more. You'll only grow taller if you eat more. Hearing her words, Rong Huai quietly straightened his back. With so many people around, there definitely wouldn't be enough for dinner, and it would take more time to cook something else. Xiangyi thought about it and asked, can we have barbecue? I'll go prepare the ingredients, and you guys can barbecue yourselves. The group of children obviously had no objections. After a while, Xiangyi came over with a few plates of meat. Rong Huai and the rest also brought out the barbecue rack and small stools from the tool room. They lit up the smokeless charcoal and brushed oil on the barbecue pan, after which they could start barbecuing. The pork belly, mutton, and beef were cut into thin slices and cooked in a short while. They were then brushed with Xiangyi's barbecue sauce. If they wanted to eat spicy food, they could even roll it in chili powder and stuff it into their mouths. This taste was awesome. Looking at these young and lively youths gobbling down the meat, the carefree Yin Jiangxue felt a lump in her throat. She leaned on her husband's shoulder and whispered, this is great. Children should eat well. Xinguang held her hand gently without a word. Shi Sui and Xiang Li sat next to each other. Sister E is so nice, Shi Sui said. Xiang Li snorted and said, my tutu is nice to begin with. Touch one. It had to be said that Shi Sui had a firm grasp of the Xiang family's personalities. For example, Xiang Li seemed to be intelligent and flawless, but in fact, he was especially fond of alcohol. However, due to the nature of his job, he couldn't drink often. Hence, although Xiang Li was very displeased with Shi Sui, she toasted with him. Shi Sui lowered her eyes and drank the wine. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, and there was a trace of a triumphant smile in her eyes. She raised her hand and turned off the microphone. She deliberately lowered her voice and said in a lazy and magnetic voice, second brother-in-law, since you've drunk the wine, when do you think it's appropriate for me to deliver the betrothal gift? Xiang Li. You want to marry my tutu? Xiang Li also turned off the microphone and sneered, do you think I'm dead? Shi Sui looked into his eyes. His long and narrow peach blossom eyes curved outwards. He always looked very affectionate when he looked at others. He was very good at acting innocent and pure. Then, it's not impossible for Tutu to marry me. Xiang Li. F***CKU. Have some shame. He had never seen such a shameless person. In fact, Shi Sui knew that she couldn't hide it from Xiang Li, so she decided to come clean. Xiang Qi had a chance to see his feelings for Xiang Yi when they met. As for Xiang Feng, with Xiang Feng's IQ, he would probably only be able to see it on the day of the baby shower. A slender figure appeared next to him. It was Xiangyi, who had returned from preparing the ingredients. Shui chuckled. Thank you for your hard work. It's nothing. I just cut some meat. They washed the vegetables themselves. Xiangli suddenly stood up and patted Shui on the shoulder. Change seats with me. Bastard, don't even think about coveting my sister. Shui kindly changed seats with him. Soon, Xiangli began to tease his sister. The kid you were talking to just now was quite handsome. Xiangyi, fortunately, brother, you're the most handsome. Xiangli raised the corners of his mouth. Then, he lowered them and asked a question. Then, who's more handsome, me or Shui? Xiangyi. Chapter 235. She was obviously hesitating. When her cherry lips moved slightly and she was about to speak, Xiangli sneered. Is this something that you need to hesitate about? Shouldn't she immediately blurt out that her brother is the most handsome person in the world? I just think that you two are both handsome in your own ways. Xiangyi, who had a strong desire to survive, tried to salvage the situation. But I think you're the most handsome. Shui, who had changed seats, happened to form a corner with Xiangyi's seat. Hence, he could see all of her movements and expressions without any scruples. Hearing her words, he raised his eyebrows. Xiangyi turned her face and stole a glance at Shui, only to accidentally make eye contact with him. That was awkward. She then corrected herself. Brother Shui, you're very handsome too, especially handsome. Haha. Xiangli laughed coldly. The live stream viewers burst into laughter because of the conversation between the three of them. Ha ha ha, Sister E is so cute when she's caught in a dilemma. My PhD brother actually has such a childish side? I don't believe it. Indeed, men are like children who never grow up. Xiang Yi has had a hard time taking care of Xiang Yi today. Xiang Yi was conflicted for a while before asking weakly, Brother, do you think Brother Shui is handsome? Xiang Li said, he's ugly. Shui's expression remained unchanged. However, Xiang Yi said seriously, Brother, you're stepping on him. It's wrong to praise him and step on him, Walla. Xiang Li's heart cracked. She's protecting that dog of a man just like that? Also, you're obviously lying through your teeth. Brother Shui is indeed very handsome, Wallalala. Xiang Li's heart was completely shattered. Xiang Li was furious. He picked up the glass of wine and downed it in one gulp. Xiang Yi was a little nervous. Brother, are you angry? A certain actor's entire body was filled with the fragrance of green tea. Sister E, it's all my fault. I made Xiang Li unhappy. Don't worry about it. Just let him do whatever he wants. I don't mind at all. Xiang Yi said subconsciously, how can I blame you? Xiang Li became even angrier. Fang Lao and the others were all young. After the meal, they chatted for a while before Xiang Yi took them to the guest room to rest. The group of youths were still barbecuing, but Yin Zhengxue was talking to Rong Huai. No one knew what they were talking about, but Rong Huai suddenly looked at Shui and stared at her for a few seconds before quickly looking away. Rong, your face is made for the big screen. You should really consider entering the entertainment industry. Yin Zhengxue said with a smile. Perhaps it was fate, but she found Rong Huai particularly pleasing to the eye. She could not help but give him a few pointers. I heard that your cultural results are not particularly good. If you start preparing for the arts exam now, you can make it in time. Rong Huai pursed his lips and said sullenly, Thank you, I'll consider it seriously. He was a little hooligan, but he could tell right from wrong. He could sense Yin Zhengshue's kindness. Let's add each other on WeChat. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask Auntie. After the two of them added each other as friends, Rong Huai suddenly asked softly, Auntie Yin, can I become as capable as him? He refused to say Shui's name awkwardly, but his eyes landed on Shui. Yin Zhengxue touched the wolf cub's head and said, Anything is possible, are you interested in acting? I can recommend a few schools to you then. Rong Hui did not answer, but he already had an answer in his heart. He just wanted to be closer to someone, just a little closer. Until, standing at a position where he could stand shoulder to shoulder with her. Chapter 236. It was getting late at night. Xiangyi came out of the villa, only to find that the courtyard was still too dark with only a few street lamps and the lights from the production crew. She went to the tool room and dug out a few handmade lanterns that she and her brothers used to make. Rong Hui and the others came over. Wow, there are actually lanterns with candles now. Sister, do you want to hang this? Do you want a ladder? Xiangyi said, no, you can just pass it to me. Huh? But can you reach it? Before he finished speaking, Xiangyi climbed up a tree skillfully, her movements as fast as those in wuxia movies. The teenagers? The netizens? Are you there? Xiangyi, do you know that your fairy persona has been ruined? Damn. I thought Sameo Gu and Sanmao Gu were fast enough, but I didn't expect Sister Yi to be the fastest. I suddenly remembered that Xiang Yi got injured because he went rock climbing with Xiang Yi. The Xiang family actually has such an ancestral skill. If you don't share it, you're not Chinese. The group of boys opened their mouths so wide that eggs could almost be stuffed in. Xiang Yi said calmly, give me the lantern. Rong Hui, who was the tallest, handed her a lantern in a daze. She hung it up, lit it, and then, Xiang Yi climbed to the next tree. After hanging the lantern, the courtyard not only became brighter, but it also added a touch of warmth. The warm light of the lantern spread out, and a few moths gathered and bumped into it without hesitation. It was rare for Xiang Li to indulge himself that night. He drank too much and leaned back on the recliner in a drunken stupor. The top two buttons of his shirt were unbuttoned, revealing some of his fair skin and thin collarbones. The red mole at the end of his eye looked even more alluring. Xiang Yi drank a lot with him too. Although her head was dizzy, she was somehow sober. Yin Jiangxue picked up a ukulele. She hadn't touched a musical instrument in a long time and her hands were a little rusty. She stumbled as she played the ukulele. I have to practice more so that I can sing it for our baby in the future, she said in an expectant tone. Xingguang clapped for her with a smile in his eyes. From beginning to end, she was the only one in his eyes. The lights were warm and the wind was gentle. It was truly a beautiful night. It made one's heart soften. After Yin Jiangxue finished playing a song, she wanted to put the ukulele back, but Xiang Yi took it. She plucked the strings a few times and adjusted the tuning slightly. Rong Hui and the others' eyes lit up. The group of little brats didn't even bother to eat the meat as they eagerly surrounded the pavilion. Li Jianyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Hey, you guys are blocking Sister Yi's camera. The children were laughing and joking, pushing each other and chasing each other away. They quickly made way. In the live stream. Is Sister Yi going to sing? Boo-hoo, these kids are like two different people from the day. They're laughing. They must really like Sister Yi. They're afraid of blocking the camera, so they're tiptoeing to get a closer look. It's so annoying. I want to cry again. Cack, a simple and pleasant prelude sounded. The ukulele's unique clear tone might not be that impactful at first, but it was inexplicably harmonious with the warm night. The red sun rises, its bright light the river flows out, a vast ocean. The girl began to sing lazily, but her voice instantly captured everyone's ears. She lowered her eyebrows, her small figure immersed in a half-lit corner, but she was a dazzling presence in the crowd. The young have their own youthful arrogance. My body is like the mountains and rivers, my spine I dare to measure the sun and moon. Xiang Yi looked up at the teenagers outside the pavilion and smiled gently. She hummed gently as if she was coaxing a child, but it had an incomparably shocking power. My heart is like the blazing sun, shining brightly no matter how difficult it is to stop me today, I am the only young man. The last chord fell. The surroundings were so quiet that one could almost hear the rustling of the wind and the falling petals. Chapter 237. Even the comments section of the live stream had decreased significantly. There was a moment of silence. The comments section of the live stream exploded. I'm crying out loud. I don't know why, but I just feel like crying. I suddenly realized that the female celebrity Xiang. No, her name is Xiangyi. I'm praising Sister Yi so much. She's beautiful, sweet, and heartwarming. No wonder Rong Huai and the other kids would come to see her. She's so healing. In the courtyard. Rong Huai stared blankly at the girl not far away, his heart pounding rapidly. This was the first time he had truly felt his own existence. Behind him, the boys who were easily moved to tears began to cry, and those who didn't had their eyes reddened. She didn't sing such a hot-blooded song at all, but it was so gentle that it had the power to move people's hearts. It turned out that they weren't children abandoned by the world. It turned out that they could also have a little bit of light, a little bit of hope, and a little bit of dreams. They were still youths with limitless possibilities. Their hearts were like blazing suns. Even Li Jianyu couldn't help but wipe away his tears. In the beginning, he still had some doubts about Shi Sui's invitation to Xiangyi to appear on Two Under One Roof. However, he now understood that it wasn't Two Under One Roof that made Xiangyi successful. It was Xiangyi who made Two Under One Roof happen. The live stream ended for the day. Rong Huai and the others also got into the car and left safely. Before they left, they cleaned up the yard and even took away the trash. It was as if they didn't want there to be any filth in Xiang Yi's house. Everyone returned to their rooms. Xiang Li had really had too much to drink, so much so that he was walking unsteadily. Although Shi Sui bickered with him, he still treated him as a friend. Hence, he helped him back to his room. When Shi Sui came out of the bathroom after taking a shower, his gaze darted to the bed. Something's wrong. He frowned and strode forward, lifting the blanket roughly. However, after seeing who it was, he paused in his actions. It was Xiangyi. The girl was curled up into a ball and sleeping obediently. Shi Sui was speechless. He carelessly wiped his hair a few times and said with some helplessness and amusement, "That's true. Even the big drunkard is drunk. How could the little drunkard not be drunk? She was probably drunk when she was singing. No wonder she smiled so sweetly to everyone, especially that little brat named Rongrong." Shi Sui's gaze fell on the girl's delicate face. She was hugging a pillow and breathing evenly. Her hair was scattered on her cheeks. Shi Sui raised her hand and brushed it away for her. "Aren't you too trusting of me?" Shi Sui chuckled. "You even dared to enter my room and climb into my bed." He wasn't afraid that he wouldn't be human anymore. "You," Shi Sui sighed and stared deeply at Xiangyi for a few seconds. The emotions in her eyes were thick, and the light in her eyes was obscure. He patted the girl's shoulder twice. "Wake up. Go back to your room and sleep." The little girl who was sleeping soundly snorted and turned over angrily. As she moved, her blouse rolled up, revealing the milky white and delicate skin at the back of her waist. It was very dazzling. Shi Sui's Adam's apple moved. He closed his eyes, covered the girl with the blanket, and prepared to find a guest room to make do for the night. Just as he walked to the door, the crisp sound of the door being locked suddenly rang out, accompanied by the sneer of a drunk genius professor. "I'll lock the door for you. Let's see how you dare to seduce my sister." Shi Sui was speechless. Then, there was the sound of Xiang Li's messy footsteps and the sound of him bumping into something and falling on the carpet. He could vaguely hear his ravings. "I have to protect my sister." Shi Sui was speechless. Chapter 238. This makes people very fascinated. The man pressed his eyebrows and suddenly chuckled. "Fine. Sleep if you want. Lock if you want. Let nature take its course. Everything is the best arrangement." After giving himself a few words of encouragement, Shi Sui turned back and lingered by the bed for a few seconds. Some thoughts of not wanting to be a human flashed through his mind. In the end, Shi Sui still turned off the lights, picked up the script on the bedside table, and sat down on the single-seater sofa by the floor-to-ceiling window. He turned on a small night light and flipped through the script with his well-defined fingers. Shui was still hesitating about this movie. The script was extremely well written. The most holy and flawless church was occupied by a flower of evil. The darkest and most humid mental hospital had the only bright color in the entire movie. The plot line followed the criminal reasoning route. It was intertwined and every supporting character had a high IQ. The emotional line was a scene between a high IQ priest criminal and a psychiatrist. It started with a playful game of cat and mouse and ended with a regretful tragedy. It was full of drama. In all fairness, Shui wanted to take on this script. However, he couldn't act in an emotional scene. It wasn't a problem of acting. It was a psychological problem. He resisted all close contact with women, and it had become a psychological barrier. Director Yen had tried several methods before, but Shui vomited after a single pat. It didn't work at all, so he could only give up in the end. Other scripts were fine, but in this script, if the character of the doctor was deleted, or if the doctor's part was deleted, the whole film would lose some kind of balance, and it would not meet the artistic expression that the director wanted. Therefore, he either had to overcome the psychological barrier of acting in the opposite role, or give up this good script. Shui was having a headache. The little girl on the bed probably felt hot and kicked the quilt away. She's quite dishonest. Shui shook his head, put down the script, and got up to cover her with the quilt. The little girl drunkenly called out, "Xiao Naofu, everything." She looked around for the cat in a daze. She didn't touch Xiao Naofu, but she touched Shui's hand. She rubbed her soft and slender fingers tentatively a few times. Then, as if she sensed that something was wrong, she opened her eyes. The world spun before her eyes. She tried hard to focus and finally recognized the man in front of her. "Why are you here?" Shui raised her eyebrows and indulged her behavior. "Who am I?" "My child." "What?" "Zai." Xiangyi looked at him innocently. "Why are you here?" "This is where Xiao Naofu sleeps." To emphasize, she patted the pillow on the other side. Shui licked her lips. "Then where do you think I should sleep?" It was too difficult for a drunk person to make a logical analysis. Xiangyi felt her head hurt even more. She mumbled, "You slept in the cat bed." Shui was so angry that she laughed. "Is there such a big cat nest?" The little girl said in an imposing manner, "I'll ask my third brother to make one for you." Shui, "Okay, I'll wait. You go back to sleep." He leaned over to pick up the quilt, but the girl was lying on the edge of the bed. Her cheeks were half pressed against the black sheets, which made her skin look even fairer. The drunk girl spoke slowly and more softly than usual. You look good, Shui simply sat cross-legged on the ground and looked at her calmly. "Then, between me and your brother, who looks better?" Xiangyi frowned, looking like she was about to be forced to do business again. Chapter 239. She shrank back and dodged his gaze. I am sleepy." Shui grabbed the pillow in her arms. The little girl was drunk and weak and couldn't move at all. The two were in a stalemate. After more than 10 seconds, the girl sighed helplessly. "Okay, then I'll tell you alone, okay? Then you're not allowed to tell anyone else." "Okay." The man looked at Xiangyi affectionately and gently. Xiangyi whispered, "You and brother are both good-looking, but I think you're the most good-looking, because I like you, whoosh." The ambiguous atmosphere fermented uncontrollably in the air, and the room seemed to have heated up, adding a sense of irritation. Shui raised his hand and rubbed the back of the girl's neck. He coaxed, "Say it again." Xiangyi was drowsy. She murmured in a soft voice, "I'm really sleepy. You said you like me." After a pause, the man smiled. "You even said you want me to be your boyfriend." Xiangyi protested softly, "I didn't. I said I like your face." Her mouth was sealed by the man's palm, and her soft lips were pressed against his warm palm. The girl blinked her long eyelashes. "I'll think about it and give you an answer." Shi Sui looked like he was in a difficult position. "TSK, you don't know how popular brother is." There seemed to be something wrong. However, Xiangyi was too sleepy. Her eyelids drooped, and she mumbled a few words before falling asleep. Shi Sui's deep eyes were mixed with dark emotions. His clear Adam's apple bobbed visibly. His gaze lingered on the girl's lips for a few seconds. He rubbed his fingers against them and smiled. "What should I do? Brother really doesn't want to be a good person." The sky was slightly bright, and the morning stars were sparse. Xiangyi gradually regained consciousness, but she felt a faint headache. She sat up and habitually rubbed Xiao Naofu beside her pillow. It wasn't the usual fluffy and warm feeling. Instead, Xiangyi's eyes widened, and she was no longer sleepy. How could it be Shi Sui? With a guilty conscience, she tried to quietly withdraw her hand, but her wrist was firmly grasped. Then, Shi Sui slowly opened her eyes and squinted at her lazily. "Don't panic, it's just a small matter." "Ah, like hell." However, Xiangyi had been through so many worlds. She was mentally strong. She said calmly, "Good morning." She thought that as long as she was calm enough, Shi Sui would be the one panicking. Unexpectedly, the man's voice was tired and hoarse, soft and light, like a feather that tickled her heart. "Good morning. Sister E, why are you in my room? Are you still on my bed?" Xiangyi had an inexplicable feeling that she was a scumbag who didn't take responsibility after defiling the other party. "Ahem, if I say that I'm here to tuck you in, would you believe me?" Shi Sui raised her eyebrows. Xiangyi felt guilty and uneasy. After a while, Shi Sui let go of her wrist, as if believing her. "I see. I'm really a little genius with quick reflexes." Xiangyi smiled. "Then have a good rest, I won't disturb you." She jumped off the bed and didn't even bother to put on her slippers. Her fair feet stepped on the wooden floor as she hurried out. Shi Sui rested her chin on her elbow and looked at her with a half-smile. Xiangyi turned the doorknob, she didn't turn it. She froze, but the man's slightly flustered voice sounded behind her. It's just a blanket, is there a need to lock the door?" "Sister E, what are you going to do to me?" Chapter 240. Xiangyi was completely dumbfounded. At the thought of her uncle Xiang Feng singing in a tree when he was drunk, a look of horror appeared in her eyes. Did she also get drunk and go crazy? For example, breaking into Shi Sui's room and taking advantage of him sleeping. What did she do last night? If you like Big Brother, you can just tell me. Shi Sui sat up straight and slowly put on his glasses. You don't have to be so scheming. Xiangyi. She turned her head and found that Shi Sui's pajamas were in a mess and he looked aggrieved and helpless. Xiangyi hesitated for a few seconds, then silently stepped forward and covered Shi Sui with a blanket. Shi Sui raised his eyebrows. Huh? Do you want to go take a shower? Xiangyi recalled the romance novels she had read with Xiao Naofu when she was bored. Although you may not be clean anymore, please don't cry, okay? I will be responsible for you. Let me think about it. The development of this matter was beyond Shi Sui's expectations. He lowered his eyelashes to hide the smile in his eyes and replied, then I'll go take a shower. In the living room. When Xiangli woke up, he was in a daze. He fumbled around and found his glasses, only to realize that he was in his room. He seemed to have fallen last night and the bodyguards had sent him back. Thinking of his perfect lock, the corners of Xiang Li's mouth curved up. As expected of me. The next second, the phone next to his pillow vibrated. He picked it up and saw that it was a message from his sister. Tutu, brother. Tutu, brother, I did something wrong. What should I do /cry? Xiang Li frowned and typed with one hand. Don't cry, speak slowly. Tutu, I drank too much last night and walked into the wrong room /cry. Seeing this, Xiang Li suddenly had an ominous feeling. Where are you? Buzz, Tutu, I'm in Brother Shi Sui's room, Xiang Li. He threw off the quilt and rushed to Shui's room. The door was still locked, but he had no time to look for the key. He called for his bodyguards and used brute force to break in. Xiang Yi was startled by the noise, and her phone almost fell to the ground. Xiang Li was furious. He grabbed his sister's wrist and walked out. Just then, the bathroom door opened. Shui was only wearing a pair of black sweatpants. His body was well proportioned, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His abdominal muscles were well defined, and his V-line line snaked into the black pants. As he dried his hair, the smooth muscles of his forearms became more and more obvious. The man blinked his peach blossom eyes and dragged his voice, "Sister E, I'm done. Have you thought about it?" Xiang Li roared, "Put on your clothes." What kind of scandal is this? Only then did Shui slowly pick up the thin sweater on the shelf and put it on. He stared at Xiang Yi, looking innocent and pitiful. "Xiang Yi. Brother Tingrui, don't be so fierce. You'll scare him." Xiang Li was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "You're still protecting this B*****starred. Shui leaned against the door frame. Part of his sweater had slipped off, revealing his collarbones and protruding Adam's apple. He blinked innocently. "Huh? Didn't Sister E lock the door? TSK, I wonder who did it." Xiang Li, of course, he couldn't admit that he did it. Otherwise, he would turn from a genius brother to a fool brother in front of his sister. Xiang Yi tugged at her brother's sleeve and whispered, "Brother, I don't know who locked the door, but I think I took advantage of him, Xiang Li." Xiang Yi looked pitiful. "How can I take responsibility for it to show my sincerity? Xiang Li? You even tricked my tutu. F** King Shui, are you still human?" Chapter 241. Xiang Yi was pushed out of the room by her brother. Then, the door was slammed shut. Before the door was closed, Xiang Yi saw her brother rolling up his sleeves. Are they going to fight? She wanted to go in, but she heard her brother yelling through the door, "Go back to your room." Then, Shui's gentle and calm voice sounded. "Don't worry, I'll have a good chat with your brother." Xiang Yi scratched her head and chose to believe them. She walked towards her room. Her hungover brain was slower than usual, so she didn't notice that someone was secretly taking photos of her coming out of Shui's room outside the floor-to-ceiling window. In the kitchen, porridge was simmering in the casserole pot, and the fragrance of the rice wafted out through the crack in the door. Xiang Yi wanted to make up for it, so she made a particularly sumptuous breakfast, which was all Shui's favorite dishes. After spending time with him for the past few days, Xiang Yi had already figured out his preferences. His palate was light, carnivorous, and he especially liked to eat fish and shrimp, which was a bit similar to Xiao Naofu. She made steamed dumplings, shrimp dumplings, egg pancakes, and other Chinese pastries, as well as bacon, sausages, fried eggs, potato pancakes, and other Western breakfasts. She even fried a fish for Xiao Naofu. Xiao Naofu was nestled in a hammock on the top floor of the luxurious cat villa, chewing its paws in a fit of pique. It saw Xiang Yi coming out of Shui's room. "Boo-hoo, this stupid woman has changed her mind. I'm no longer her favorite. I'm not going to talk to her anymore." However, when Xiang Yi came over with the grilled fish, Xiao Naofu's nose twitched, and it began to drool. "Xiao Naofu, it's time to eat," Xiang Yi coaxed softly. "No. I can't forgive her just because she coaxed me. Xiao Naofu." Xiang Yi scratched the back of Xiao Naofu's neck. "Don't be angry with me, okay? I've coaxed you twice." Xiao Naofu counted in its heart. Xiang Yi murmured, "Everything, little baby. If you don't eat, the grilled fish will get cold." 3 times. "Humph, forget it, I'll just reluctantly forgive her." Xiao Naofu flipped over and extended its claws at Xiang Yi. "Meow." Xiang Yi raised her eyebrows and took it down from the hammock. She patiently tore the grilled fish into small pieces and fed it bit by bit. Xiao Naofu's belly was round as it rolled around on the ground in satisfaction. Xiang Yi threw it a few balls to play with and got up to do her morning exercise outside. Behind the small kitchen, there was a villa where the staff of the production team lived. Xiao Liang was the camera assistant of the production crew. He had just graduated not long ago and was at the age where he was impatient. His salary was considered high among his peers. However, he lived in this large manor every day and watched the bright and beautiful stars coming and going. It was inevitable that he would feel a little unbalanced. What right did these people have to have all this without working hard? And he could only get a few $1,000s a month? The aroma of the rice grew stronger and stronger, spreading from afar. Xiao Liang was displeased. That female artist named Xiangyi is really hypocritical. She only cooks for us once in a while. At other times, we have to order takeout or solve our own problems. Since she's already cooking, what's wrong with cooking more? We're all humans, why should we treat them differently? As for whether Xiangyi would have a hard time cooking for dozens of people, that was not within his consideration. He gritted his teeth and found a paparazzi that he had accidentally added on his friend list. He typed, "There's a video of Shi Yingdi and Xiangyi. How much are you willing to pay?" During the morning rush hour, an explosive video instantly attracted everyone's attention. Chapter 242. The blogger who broke the news had a notorious reputation, but the netizens were keen on gossiping and would always curse while watching the drama unfold. Gossip Frontline v. Shocking. At the filming site of a well-known variety show, a certain female celebrity couldn't bear the loneliness and broke into the male guest's room in the middle of the night for a tryst. She didn't come out until the morning. The female guest's brother flew into a rage when he found out about it, deeply ashamed of himself for having such a shameless sister. There was a 10-second video attached, in which a slender girl came out of the room with two men behind her. The blogger was very tactful. He didn't mention any names and even blurred out everyone's faces. However, the more he tried to cover it up, the more curious he became. The comments section was extremely lively. "Let's squat in the front row and see the name of this disgusting female guest. Oh my god, those clothes. I think I know who she is. Hey, the two men behind her have such good figures. Maybe this female celebrity is trying to get in between the two brothers' beautiful romance? Don't say that, it's disgusting. Let me decode the code." The variety show is Two Under One Roof, and the female guest is Xiangyi, who has been in the limelight recently, while the male guest is Shi Sui, the best actor. The older brother is a PhD student named Xiang Li, who is very impressive. Seriously. I watched the live stream yesterday and had a good impression of Xiangyi. Why is she causing trouble again today? She's always seducing men. The news caught them off guard, but Xingchen Entertainment, which Shi Sui was in, still immediately released a statement. However, Tomato Entertainment, which Xiangyi was in, didn't respond for a long time, which inevitably caused people to speculate. Little did they know that Tomato Entertainment felt that it was also a way to make a name for themselves. Once they gained popularity, they could even help the company's newcomers. Why would they go against money? Anyway, Xiangyi had been scolded all this while, so what if they scolded her a little more? In the manner. After having breakfast with Xinguang, Yin Zhengxue exchanged contact information with Xiangyi and reluctantly said goodbye. Although the three masters wanted to stay behind to teach, they were all tied up with miscellaneous matters and could only make an appointment later. Only Xiangyi, Shi Sui, and Xiang Li were left at the dining table. "Brother Shi Sui, try this xiaomai." "Brother Shi Sui, this shrimp dumpling is also delicious. I added less salt according to your taste." "Brother Shi Sui, do you want another bowl of congee?" "I'll get it for you." Xiang Li gritted his teeth. It's not like he doesn't have hands. Shi Sui said kindly, "Sister E, you don't have to be so nice to me. Anyway, I'm used to it. Your second brother is in a bad mood. You should coax him more." Xiang Li, if it weren't for the fact that Shi Sui was still a decent person last night and nothing had happened between the two of them, he would have ordered his bodyguards to break this guy's legs. With his intelligence back, Xiang Li's eyes lit up. "Tutu went to your room. Didn't you feel anything?" Hearing this, Xiangyi also felt that something was wrong. Shi Sui wasn't tricking her, was he? "I drank a lot last night too," Shi Sui said calmly. This was the truth, but he wasn't drunk. However, this sentence successfully misled Xiangyi. If it were someone else, Xiangyi might have questioned it. However, she had a natural sense of trust when it came to Shi Sui. After all, in her memory, Shi Sui had always been a gentle and reliable older brother. Little did she know that the gentlemanly image was just an illusion. The big tail behind him had been wagging long ago. At this moment, Li Jianyu rushed in. Chapter 243. Daddy Shi, bad news. There's news about you and Sister Yi. Li Jianyu was sweating profusely as he handed the phone to Shi Sui. Xiangyi tilted her head to take a look but was stopped by Li Jianyu. It should have been leaked by our crew. I'm investigating it now. Sister Yi, don't worry, I'll definitely give you an explanation. Xiangyi immediately understood and asked calmly, someone is scolding me? Li Jianyu was a little helpless. Yeah, soon, Shi Sui's manager, Si Chuanbai, called and he got up to the balcony to pick it up. Si Chuanbai said concisely, the announcement has been made. I need to confirm with you whether the two of you are in a relationship. If you are you going to make it public? I'll have to prepare for the next step. Shi Sui looked up at Xiangyi. Not at the moment. Are you serious? Si Chuanbai was slightly stunned. I'll just ask directly. Is she worth it? She's worth it, she answered without hesitation. Si Chuanbai was silent for a while before saying, all right, I understand. Since it's your choice, I'll respect and cooperate with you. Then you. She chuckled lazily. Aren't you going to wish me a happy marriage in advance? The originally serious atmosphere was forcefully diverted by Shi Sui's flirtatious words. Si Chuanbai took a deep breath and mocked, you're not even in a relationship and you're already thinking about getting married? Huh, why don't you find a naming master to help you come up with a few baby names? Alright, remember to find a master who's more expensive. Thank you. Xiangyi also received a video call from Nan. On the screen, Nan was crying with a head full of colorful hair. Boo-hoo, they're so bad. Not only did they not help you with public relations, they even let a few newbies ride on your popularity. Trash company, why hasn't it closed down yet? Xiangyi did not take these matters to heart. To her, it was far less important than what to make for lunch. Alright, don't cry. Xiangyi comforted him. If it really goes bankrupt, won't you lose your job too? Nan sniffed. Then when the time comes, I'll be Tony's teacher and raise you by washing, cutting, and blowing. Xiangyi couldn't help but laugh. She imagined the scene and inexplicably felt that it was quite suitable for Nan. How can you still laugh? When the brothers from C7 heard about it, they were about to cry. Tell them that I'll find a way to solve it. Really? Do you want to come for lunch? I'll make your favorite braised pig trotters. Gulp. In the video, Nan clearly swallowed his saliva. Oh, all right then. See you at noon. He hung up the phone. Xiangyi met her brother's gaze. Xiangli frowned and tapped the table with his left hand. The time between each tap was exactly the same. How are you going to resolve this? Xiangyi said frankly, I don't know. Xiang Li's eyebrows twitched. Then why did you make such a solemn vow? The girl's face bloomed into a smile, revealing her small dimples. Because I have you. If it was in the fast transmigration world, she would have desperately fought to survive. But now, she wanted to rely on her brother a little. Oh, idiot, you can't even do this? Although he said that, Xiang Li's eyes were full of smiles. He coughed lightly. You want me to help you? Beg me. Xiangyi clasped her hands together and softly said coquettishly, Brother, I beg you to help me, okay? Wait. Xiang Li interrupted her. He skillfully turned on the camera and said in all seriousness, Let's do it again. I didn't record it just now. Chapter 244. Other than doting on her, what else could her brother do? Xiang Yi opened for business. Brother, I beg you, stop, I don't even deserve an adjective. The most talented and handsome brother in the world, I beg you to help me. That's it? Where's your sincerity? I don't feel it at all. Brother, you're the best. I'll make you anything you want to eat. Do your hands hurt? I'll give you a massage. After recording for more than 10 minutes, Xiangli finally chose one and sent it out one by one. 2. Not so smart Xiao Sito, not so silly Xiao Sito, big brother with a decent IQTO, little uncle not smart. Not long after, Xiangli received a reply. Not so smart Xiao Si, little sister is so cute. Not so silly Xiao Si, she even praised me the day before yesterday for being the best brother. Cry/ball, little uncle not smart, you're bullying little Xiangyi again. Big brother with a decent IQ, Big brother with a decent IQ, she's back. Sanction used an affirmative reply. Xiangli smiled and replied, yes. Big brother with a decent IQ, confirm if that person will appear again. Seeing this, Xiangli frowned slightly. He suddenly felt disgusted when he thought of the existence that had occupied his sister's body for the past year. In fact, Sanction had already noticed that something was wrong from the beginning. That was why Sanction signed the agreement to restrict Xiangyi from causing trouble. After interacting with Xiangyi, Xiangli had also guessed it. Xiang Qi had his suspicions, but he wasn't sure. Xiang Yu had a vague feeling that his sister was acting strangely. As for Xiang Feng, it was better not to mention it. In the manner. The filming was done at night on weekdays, so the staff still had a lot of free time during the day. Xiaoliang looked at the balance on his cell phone and was extremely excited. It turned out that a piece of news could be sold for so much money. After tasting the sweetness of it, he was thinking about how to shoot a more exciting video. If he did it a few more times, wouldn't he be able to become rich? Seeing the girl watering the flowers with a watering can in the sea of flowers outside the window, greed appeared in Xiaoliang's eyes. If he put a few pinhole cameras in her bedroom and bathroom, he might be able to get a video that could be sold at a sky-high price, or he could threaten her. Thinking of the FRB kneeling at his feet and begging him, Xiaoliang felt great. Just as he was searching for a camera on the internet. Bang! The door was kicked open by someone. Looking at the few well-built bodyguards at the door, Xiaoliang was scared witless. His voice trembled uncontrollably. This is my room. It's too disrespectful of you to barge in like this. These bodyguards had been secretly protecting Xiangli all year round, and they had long developed the habit of obeying orders. He didn't waste any more words with him and directly carried him to the courtyard. Hey, what is the meaning of this? Let me go. Xiaoliang yelled, I'm the assistant cameraman of the production crew. Do you guys have any respect for our production crew? When the staff saw this, they all gathered around. What's going on? Hey, what right do you have to do this? Director Li, look at them. This is too much. Li Jianyu's face was cold. Quiet. He was usually joking around, and the average age of the staff was young, so no one was afraid of him. However, when Li Jianyu became serious, the scene suddenly quieted down. The news on Weibo today was a mistake by our production crew. Here, in addition to apologizing to teacher Xiangyi, I also want to seek justice for teacher Xiangyi. Chapter 245. Li Jianyu's sharp gaze shot towards Xiaoliang. Xiaoliang's face was pale and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. However, he refused to admit it. Are you suspecting me? How could I do such a thing? Li Jianyu said coldly, if you admit it now, I won't hold you legally responsible. He wanted to give Xiaoliang one last chance. However, Xiaoliang thought that he was bluffing. Didn't he just take a video? Why would he be held legally responsible? Moreover, he had deleted all the chat records and used a distant relative's bank account to collect the money. In his opinion, he had done a perfect job. I didn't do it. I swear. Otherwise, I'll be hit by a car when I go out. Xiaoliang swore. A few staff members who were familiar with him spoke up for him. Director Li, is there a misunderstanding? Xiaoliang is usually a good person. He's not that kind of person. Li Jianyu's expression was cold. Since you don't want a chance, don't blame me for being merciless. He took out the evidence directly. The video was recorded at 5:00 in the morning. The marketing account exposed it at 7 o'clock in the morning. At that time, most of us were still asleep. Dr. Xiang wrote a small program to capture the most Wi-Fi traffic devices in this area. It's your phone. Xiao Liang's expression changed drastically. He had habitually connected to the Wi-Fi. He did not expect this to be evidence. However, he quickly retorted, I just woke up early and played with my phone for a while. The video could have been sent by someone else. Li Jianyu said, how long are you going to be stubborn? Dr. Xiang traced the source of the video. It was sent by your device. Then it could have been sent by someone else using my phone. Xiao Liang's words were full of loopholes. The staff members who had spoken up for him earlier felt their hearts turn cold. Seeing this, Xiao Liang decided to go all out. So what if I was the one who took the video? Why don't you blame Xiangyi for seducing Shui? Why are you blaming me? Li Jianyu was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood. Invading other people's privacy, and you still think you're right? If she had kept her private life in check, I wouldn't have been able to take that video. Xiao Liang said with conviction. At the end of the day, it was her fault. The next second, a certain Siscon doctor grabbed his collar with one hand. His eyes were dark and murderous. Xiao Liang wailed, someone's been beaten up, someone's been beaten to death. Help! Li Jianyu was speechless. He had never seen a thief crying thief. Xiang Li suddenly smiled. What do you think is more terrifying than death? Xiao Liang froze. It's a life worse than death. Xiang Li raised his eyebrows. Do you want to try? Xiao Liang's pupils dilated. He was a little scared. He subconsciously searched for Xiangyi. She had a gentle temper and was easy to talk to. As long as he begged her properly, she would definitely forgive him. Not far away, the young girl looked calm. She was still watering the flowers unhurriedly, as if she did not take this matter to heart. Teacher Xiangyi. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I'll apologize to you, okay? I'm still young and ignorant. Please don't take it to heart. Pfft, a chuckle came from the handsome man beside the young girl. Shui was obviously smiling, but his peach blossom eyes seemed to be mixed with ice. There was no trace of warmth in them. You think you're worthy of calling her name? Chapter 246. The man's aura was too strong and overwhelming. Xiao Liang met his gaze for a few seconds and his legs turned to jelly. With a bang, he fell to the ground and his phone slipped out of his pocket. The screen was still lit up and displayed keywords such as pinhole camera, bedroom, bathroom, secret camera. Shui's eyes narrowed and he exuded a dangerous aura from head to toe. Xiao Liang was on the verge of tears and completely lost his previous arrogance. I didn't install this. I was just thinking about it. Is it illegal to think about it? Shui's aura became even colder. He couldn't bear to mess around with this little girl. What right did this piece of trash have to think about hurting her? Xiangli, bring your sister into the house, Shui said in a low voice. I can solve my sister's problem. Xiangli said unhappily. Then when she cries later, will you coax her? Xiangli gritted his teeth and grabbed Xiangyi's wrist and walked to the living room. Xiangyi's focus was completely different from the two of them. I'm not scared. I haven't finished watering my flowers, Xiangli said seriously. No, you're scared. Xiangyi said. Okay, I'm scared. Xiangli nodded in satisfaction. Okay, I'll protect you. Nan drove his small shabby car to the manor early in the morning. When he arrived, there were still some staff members in the garden who hadn't left yet. They were gathered in small groups and whispering about something. Oh my god, Shui looks so cool when he's angry. He looks so good wearing glasses and sneering. I heard that he has a good temper. He didn't even take it to heart when his assistant betrayed him, but I didn't expect him to be so serious this time. Xiaoliang is really too much. But after today's incident, he can forget about staying in this industry in the future. Nan listened to the gossip for a while before rushing into the villa. Good boy. I'm here. In front of the floor-to-ceiling window, Xiangyi was combing Xiao Naofu's fur. The little kitten was sleeping soundly with its head facing the sky and snoring contentedly. Nan. Humans are not as good as cats. Xiangyi smiled and said, the pork trotters are ready. Is there anything else you want to eat? I'll eat whatever you make. Nan chuckled. He took out his phone and showed it to Xiangyi. That's strange. Our company has changed. They're actually helping you with public relations. On the screen was a statement issued by Tomato Entertainment. In addition to condemning the person who took the photo and the marketing account, there was also a lawyer's letter of warning. The netizens in the comments section were all stunned. You've lived long enough to see anything. Tomato Entertainment actually has a PR department? OMG, FQ didn't even appear when C7's fans were fighting so fiercely. This time, he actually stepped in personally for the vase fairy. Oh wow, this Lin Shen law firm is one of the top law firms in the country. Why would they take on such a small case involving an artist's reputation? There were also two groups of fans who didn't like each other. Marketing accounts are taking things out of context to begin with. What can a video prove? Don't you know that Shurindi hates women? There's no way he likes Xiangyi. With all due respect, our sister E is both salty and sweet. She's rich and talented, and she even has a few immortal brothers. Please don't mislead us. Our sister E just wants to be beautiful by herself. But more than that, the CP fans were celebrating. There should be a dozen more trending searches like this. We're in the same room. Sisters, I'll call you first. In 2 days, I'm going overseas to shoot a double magazine cover. I don't care. Honey. Moon. Duck. Chapter 247. I know about the magazine cover. She heard that this was a resource that third brother brought into the production team. But what's the meaning of a honeymoon? Also, what does untimely is real mean? Xiangyi rested her chin on her hands, feeling extremely confused. Was it because she hadn't surfed the internet for too long? Why couldn't she understand what everyone was saying? Nan's jaw dropped. It can't be, can it? Don't you know that you and Shurindi have CP fans? Xiangyi. It's been a little popular recently. You guys are no longer the Arctic Circle couple. I even went to eat some candy. I have to say, everyone is really a girl under a microscope. Nan sighed as he searched for the topic, untimely boyfriend, for Xiangyi. He skillfully entered the comments section, signed in, and forwarded the comments section. Then, he found the best posts and showed them to Xiangyi. A few minutes later, Xiangyi looked a little absent-minded. It seemed a little sweet. Could this be the legendary I kowtow to myself? What are you looking at? Xiangli poured a glass of water and sat down beside them. Nan urged, it's a super story. Brother, do you want to see it? It's very sweet. It's a must to relieve stress. Really? Xiangli lowered his head to look at her, wanting to have more common topics to talk about with his sister. Untimely super sweet, Shursue's sister E is moved, edited. Sweeter than first love. Did today's untimely official proclamation, from the first meeting, 10,000 years have passed. Thousands of characters fan phenone minute. 2 minutes. Xiangli maintained the same posture and did not move. However, his expression became more and more solemn. However, Nan still asked heartlessly, brother, how is it? Isn't it beautiful? Xiangli put down the cup, rubbed his eyebrows, and looked at Xiangyi with a straight face. Come with me. Huh? Xiangyi didn't know what was going on and followed him to the balcony. Xiang Li's opening speech was very cold: recite the 16th rule of the family. Xiangyi recalled for a moment. The dangers of puppy love are as follows. First, it's easy to be cheated by a man. Second, out of the corner of his eye, Xiang Li caught a glimpse of a tall and slender figure. His expression did not change as he waited for his sister to finish reciting. Only then did he leisurely say, "So, no early love." Xiangyi? The little girl said weakly, "Brother, I'm already 20 years old. What's wrong with being 20 years old? I'm not your brother anymore when I'm 20. Xiangyi had always been obedient in front of her brother. "Oh, okay." Xiang Li patted her little head. "Good girl." He raised his eyebrows at Shi Sui, who was not far away, as if he was openly provoking her. Shi Sui clicked his tongue and mouthed, "Okay." Childish. Xiang Li didn't take it seriously. After Shi Sui walked away, he suddenly asked, "Tell me, where have you been in the past year?" Xiangyi widened her eyes. "What's there to be surprised about? Do you think I'm the same as little uncle and can't even see that?" Xiang Li smiled slightly, like an old fox. "Tutu, are you insulting your brother's intelligence?" Time passed. Xiangyi briefly summarized her experience in the past year. Xiang Li listened very carefully. He tapped the railing again and again. The rhythm was accurate. "Do you think the initial opportunity was the car accident?" Xiangyi was stunned. "Isn't it?" Xiang Li's voice was very deep. "There's a problem. That person may come back." Chapter 248. The sky was overcast. It was the rainy season, and there would be showers from time to time. The sound of thunder came from afar, and the dull roar exploded in their ears. "Huh!" Xiangyi was stunned, as if she couldn't believe it. After a long time, she came back to her senses. "Brother, you mean, that person's appearance is not a coincidence?" Behind all coincidences, there is a certainty. According to the rules of the system, that you said, only souls on the verge of death can be selected. Then, you actually don't fit this rule. Because your injuries are not that serious. A year ago, Xiangyi was in a car accident and fainted on the spot. However, she woke up in just a few hours and only suffered some external injuries. Xiangyi frowned. She tried to keep up with her second brother's rhythm. "In other words, I might not be the one selected to travel between worlds, that's right. Maybe you just unconsciously became someone's scapegoat. Think about it carefully. Not all the worlds you go to are safe, right? Physical injuries are small, but if your soul is wiped out, you will disappear forever. This logic is not difficult to deduce. If it's just a trip around the world, then traveling between worlds is the reward. However, if it's a life-threatening mission, then no one will be willing to accept it." A gust of wind blew, and Xiangyi suddenly felt a little cold. Xiang Li paused. He was silent for a few seconds, took off his coat, and put it on his sister's shoulders. "This is just my analysis. It can't be proven false. Just listen to me." The girl's eyes fell on her brother's right hand, and her breath stopped. If it was really as her brother speculated, that person might take over her body again. What if her brother was hurt again? She felt a light pat on her back, and her brother's gentle voice rang in her ears. "Don't hold your breath. What if you hurt yourself?" Xiangyi felt a little choked up. He remembered all her little habits. "Brother, let's exchange a secret signal. If one day, I can't answer, don't believe anything that I say, and don't make any sacrifices for me." Xiangyi tried hard to squeeze out a smile, but it was uglier than crying. The family that she valued the most had been trampled on so wantonly. It was also very likely that it was not an accident. It was a conspiracy. If you can't laugh, then don't laugh. Xiang Li pinched his cheek and pondered for a few seconds. "You want to cry for a while? Don't worry, I have time. You can cry all you want." He was really and seriously comforting her. "How about you cry for 5 minutes first?" Shall I make a watch for you? Xiangni was amused by him. As she laughed, her eyes turned red. Brother, you're still the same as before, you don't know how to coax people. Then let's set our secret code. 5 minutes? All right. Xiangni inexplicably felt a lot more at ease after the brother and sister talked things out. It was as if he had been floating in the void for a long time and had finally found a foothold. Steady and steady, supporting her. She would never have to worry about not having a way out. By the way, how did you find out that something was wrong? Xiangni thought of the contract that her brother forced that person to sign. It was very detailed. Although it was childish, it restrained that person from doing whatever she wanted. To put it simply, it was okay to do small things, but there was no room for discussion for big things. Xiangli shook his head. I'm not sure, but something bad must have happened. Chapter 249. Xiangni felt a headache coming on. What exactly did the one occupying my body do to Big Brother? He knows that you're back. Go and explain to him. Xiangli was certain that Big Brother's IQ had always been high. Xiangni said pitifully, I'm scared. She had been most afraid of Big Brother ever since she was a child. Xiangli didn't respond. He would never admit that he was also afraid of Big Brother, Sanction. The devil himself. His mouth was hard, but his heart was even harder. The whole family called him a man without a heart. Big Brother, when Big Brother comes back, can you come with me? Xiangni carefully tugged at Xiangli's sleeve. Little sister, you have to learn to be brave, okay? Although he was talking about chicken soup, his slender hand slowly pulled her hand away. He pulled it away. Xiangni was speechless. Just a second ago, he was so touching, but now, he was so fragile. He was indeed her biological brother. Xiangli cleared his throat. I suggest you bring little uncle with you. He can help you take most of the firepower. With him around, Big Brother probably won't have time to scold you. Feng Feng of the Xiang family naturally had the attribute of attracting hatred. In a game, he would be a meat shield that would bleed but not shed tears. Xiangni was enlightened. Big Brother, you're indeed a genius. What you said makes sense. Xiangni put on her brother's jacket and returned to the living room. Shi Sui, who was teasing Xiao Naofu, paused and glanced at her. Mr. C, you're here? Xiangni noticed Si Chuanbai. As a top manager, Si Chuanbai always dressed in a suit and leather shoes. She felt that he was more like a domineering CEO than little uncle. Si Chuanbai nodded. Miss Xiang. He was here to work with Shi Sui. Nan stared at Si Chuanbai for a long time before moving closer to him and asking softly, are those sparkling cufflinks made of obsidian? That envious look in her eyes was similar to when she bought a 5-cent popsicle when she was a child and saw her classmates eating a 5-yuan milk popsicle. Si Chuanbai. He smiled politely. Yes. Nan immediately let out a heartfelt sigh. Wow. They were both agents, but Si Chuanbai was clearly an elite in the workplace, and he's a social animal at best. Si Chuanbai, on the other hand, felt that Xiangni's manager was too unreliable. That gaudy, colorful hair and that silly smile. Si Chuanbai also couldn't understand the way he interacted with Xiangni. The two of them didn't seem like working partners, but more like best friends. Nan was hungry before dinner time, so Xiangni made him a bowl of noodles mixed with scallion oil. Seeing Nan eating so happily, Si Chuanbai frowned. Was it really that delicious? Could it be an act? But when lunch was served, braised pig trotters, braised chicken feet, braised duck neck, braised dried tofu, braised mushrooms, a rich aroma assaulted his nostrils. The ingredients had all been stewed until they were soft and tender. They were wrapped in a layer of thick and shiny marinade, and sprinkled with a little sesame to decorate them. This large platter of braised food instantly captured all of Si Chuanbai's attention. He maintained a reserved image and picked up his chopsticks to pick up the stir-fried vegetables closest to him. Suddenly, a large and soft pig trotter was stuffed into his hands. Chew, chew. Don't stand on ceremony. This is the biggest. Nan gnawed on the chicken feet and said in a muffled voice. Si Chuanbai, what a joke. He was such a strict, fastidious, and clean person. Would he be as rough as this little colorful hare and chew on a pig trotter? But, why did this damn pig trotter smell so good? Chapter 250. Si Chuanbai stared seriously at the pig trotter in his hand. After a few hours of marinating, it had a red and oily luster. It was a little hot in his hand, and the overbearing aroma went straight into his nose. He started to salivate uncontrollably. Just one bite would do. With the mentality of giving it a try, he elegantly tore off a bit and tasted it. The moment the tip of his tongue touched the marinated pig trotter, the collagen-rich pig trotter was incomparably soft. After chewing twice, it was fatty but not greasy. The meat was slightly springy and chewy. The aroma of the marinating sauce permeated every inch of the meat, even the bones. The combination of fragrance, sweetness, saltiness, freshness, and spiciness with a strong invasiveness instantly occupied Si Chuanbai's taste buds. How could it be, this damned pig trotters were actually so delicious? Si Chuanbai's hands trembled slightly. Slowly tearing and eating with his hands was no longer enough to satisfy him. Cursing under his breath, Si Chuanbai raised the pig trotter and took a big bite. This brought about a sense of satisfaction that couldn't be found in small bites. The gold medal manager, who had always been known for being meticulous and serious, had lost all his image at this moment. He was holding the pig trotter and chewing happily. This scene fell into Nan's eyes. Had Mr. C never eaten good food before? The speed at which he swept everything away was too exaggerated. He must have been too busy and didn't have time to eat properly. Thinking of this, Nan looked at him with eyes full of sympathy. Thus, after Si Chuanbai finished the pig trotter, there were chicken feet, braised eggs, dried tofu, lotus root slices on the plate in front of him. The initiator, Nan, still didn't know that he had caused Si Chuanbai's image to be destroyed. He smiled foolishly at him. Si Chuanbai's chewing paused slightly. This little colorful hare, after looking at it for a long time, was quite pleasing to the eye. After the meal, Si Chuanbai wiped his hands and mouth with a wet towel and returned to his professional side. He looked at Shi Sui and said in a low voice, "I have something to tell you." Shi Sui, He originally thought that his manager wanted to talk to him about something serious, but he didn't expect Si Chuanbai to sincerely and seriously ask, "Do you want me to help you look at the wedding venue? Do you want to look at the confinement center too? Speaking of children, there doesn't seem to be any good houses in the school district under your name." Si Chuanbai's tone could only be described as angry. "If you're like this, how can I be at ease with Miss Xiangyi marrying you?" Shi Sui slowly typed a question mark. "Where? Whose manager are you?" Si Chuanbai shook his head. "No, you can't do this. Looks like I'll have to get you other jobs besides two under one roof. Otherwise, how are you going to make money for the baby's milk powder?" Shi Sui. "Do I look like someone who can't support his wife and children? It doesn't matter if you're alone, but do you have the heart to let Miss Xiangyi suffer with you? Do you want to be a gigolo?" Shi Sui raised her eyebrows. "That's a good suggestion." Si Chuanbai sneered, completely forgetting how much he despised Xiangyi and betrayed her. Do you think you can be a gigolo just because you want to? Miss Xiangyi is so popular. She's beautiful, kind, and good at cooking. There are a lot of puppies lining up to get her number. An old man like you who's almost 30 years old, what number can you get?" Shi Sui. "Your ability to lose your memory on the spot is amazing." Smiley face. Chapter 251. Your ability to lose your memory on the spot is really amazing. Shi Sui, who had been stabbed in the heart by his agent, rubbed his eyebrows and said helplessly, "It's only been one meal, and you're already part of her family?" "If I were part of Miss Xiangyi's family." Si Chuanbai paused and smiled. "You wouldn't even be able to enter our house." Shi Sui, he habitually searched for Xiangyi's figure and looked around, Xiangli was cleaning up the dishes. The men of the Xiang family had always been very conscientious when it came to housework. Nan was studying Si Chuanbai's rare leather briefcase. Even with Si Chuanbai's permission, he still didn't dare to touch it. Finally, he saw Xiangyi by the tatami mats near the floor-to-ceiling windows. The girl was coaxing Xiao Naofu to eat the hair cream, but it refused to eat it. Xiao Naofu, if you don't eat this, you'll have a hairball in your stomach. Xiangyi softly coaxed it. Xiao Naofu, who knew her temper, not only refused to eat it, but it also angrily slapped the hair cream to the ground with its paws. Xiangyi was at her wit's end. Just as she was at her wit's end, Shi Sui suddenly came to her side and picked up Xiao Naofu. Xiao Naofu saw that it was him and clawed at the air in horror. Meow meow. Meow meow meow. Stupid woman, save me. Take a picture. Shi Sui's tone was thin. He pressed one hand on Xiao Naofu's paw and pointed to the hair cream on the ground. Crime scene, cat dirty. Xiang Yi blinked her eyes and did as she was told. She snapped a photo. Xiao Naofu, meow meow meow. This hoo-hoo is not a cat. Shi Sui, criminal Xiao Naofu, sentenced to 3 days in jail and deprived of dried fish for a week. Xiao Naofu seemed to have suffered a huge blow. Its face was round, and its cat eyes were even rounder. It cried out pitifully and aggrievedly, meow meow meow. Xiangyi's heart softened as soon as it acted like a spoiled child. Forget it. It's its first offense. Give it a chance. Shi Sui pondered for a moment and said, if you behave well, the execution can be postponed. He held the kitten in front of him and raised his eyebrows. Listen to Sister E, okay? He deliberately chose a blind spot in Xiangyi's field of vision and mouthed, or I'll take you to sterilize. Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled into a ball, protecting its vital parts. When he returned Xiao Naofu to Xiangyi, the little cat was extremely well behaved. Not only did it eat the hair bomb, but it also extended its paws to let Xiangyi cut its nails. Xiangyi was amazed. I feel that you will be very good at taking care of Zai Zai in the future. Shi Sui chuckled. Really? Well, I'm different. I'll probably become the type who spoils the children. Shi Sui spoke slowly. In a family, it's enough to have one who can take care of Zai Zai. His voice was as light as a feather, so Xiangyi didn't hear it clearly. She turned her small face. Huh? What did you say? Shi Sui's thin lips curved slightly, and his eyes lovingly touched Xiao Naofu's head. Nothing, I just suddenly feel that Xiao Naofu is quite cute. Xiao Naofu's fur was about to explode. Ah, don't touch me. On the other side. Nan excitedly grabbed Si Chuanbai's arm. Candy. It's candy. Look at this scene, doesn't it look like a family of 3? Si Chuanbai was indifferent. Heh. Nan was excited. We're going on our honeymoon soon. It's like a wedding trip. At the mention of this, Si Chuanbai suddenly thought of something. Are you in charge of booking the tickets? Huh? You didn't? Nan was dumbfounded.